Chapter 845. Night Sorrow, Yun Tianlong, and Shui Wuling led the god-slaying team towards Profound Secret's Imperial City's City Lord's residence. They wanted to destroy the City Lord's residence first. That had symbolic meaning. While Yi Shang and the others were flying towards the Profound Secret's Imperial City's City Lord's mansion, a man was reporting about the destruction of the Profound Secret's pavilion in the Nine Regions world's Western Nether Region's East Cloud City. How did this happen? When did they get there? Isn't there an annihilation formation at the spatial tunnel entrance? Aren't there guards on both sides? Xian Wenxiu grabbed the man's collar and roared. Grand Elder, I'm not sure. Vice Pavilion Master Yu was killed, and the Profound Secrets Palace and 7 branch palaces were all burned down. The man continued to explain. We have to go back as quickly as we can. Saints can't interfere in the war. Our invincible venerables and peak venerables are all here. The Profound Secrets realm doesn't have many experts, so we can't stop their attacks, Shang Luo said somewhat anxiously. We saints can't interfere in the war. The Open Cloud Saint's death is the result of interfering in the war. Hurry up, Xian Wenxiu said through gritted teeth. He was the Grand Elder of the Profound Secrets Pavilion, so he had to bear a large part of the responsibility. Jun Xuanji's expression was ashen. How did this happen? We clearly set up a killing trap at the spatial tunnel entrance that could have heavily injured them. Why didn't it work? Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, let's not talk about that for now. Right now, we need to resolve the crisis, said Xian Wenxiu. Jun Xuanji nodded helplessly. She knew she couldn't attack because both Xian Wenxiu and Shang Luo cared about the Profound Secrets Realm's foundation. They wouldn't allow her to ignore the Profound Secrets Realm and fight against the Nine Regions world. The high-level cultivators would go back to save the situation, while the low-level cultivators would be killed if they stayed. So, they had to retreat. Jun Xuanji gave the order to retreat. Arriving at the spatial tunnel entrance, Jun Xuanji arranged for Ren Tianji, who had recovered his strength, to stand guard. Then he led the others to teleport towards Profound Secret's Imperial City. They were just one more teleportation away from the Profound Secret's Imperial City. Jun Xuanji and the others couldn't teleport because all the teleportation crystals in Profound Secret's Imperial City's teleportation formation had been taken away by Night Sorrow. It would take a long time to fly hundreds of thousands of miles. Damn it. Even Profound Secret's Imperial City is under attack. Being unable to teleport proved that there was a problem with the transmission array. How could Xian Wenxiu not analyze that there was a problem with Profound Secret's Imperial City? Night Sorrow's group killed along the way, all the way until they reached the Profound Secret's City Lord Manor. At that moment, quite a number of people came out from the City Lord's mansion. Leading them was an old man in brocade robes. The old man's battle intent was very strong. Originally, I didn't want to participate in the war between the Nine Domains world and the Xuanji realm. But since you came, I had to fight. This Xuanji Imperial City belongs to the Jun family. If you touch Xuanji Imperial City, you will fight to the death with my Jun family. The old man took out a 4-foot-long sword and said to Night Sorrow and the others. The most influential force in the Profound Mysteries realm was the Profound Pavilion. The largest sect was the Profound Heaven Sword sect, and the most famous and powerful family was the Jun family. Jun Xuanji came from the Jun family of the Profound Secret's Imperial City's City Lord's estate. This old man was the head of the Jun family and the City Lord of Profound Secret's Imperial City, Jun Tianya. This is a war between two worlds. If your Profound Mysteries realm attacks, then it's normal for us to attack back. No one is innocent. There is only victory and defeat. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear. Then come. Jun Tianya waved his sword and slashed at Night Sorrow. Seeing Jun Tianya attack, Night Sorrow activated his law energy to protect himself. Following that, the reincarnation spear also violently attacked. Night Sorrow normally didn't use his law energy to protect himself. However, Jun Tianya was very strong and could pose a threat to him. Peak Venerables and Unrivaled Venerables were indistinguishable when they weren't fighting. They were both peak 9th rank Venerables. The only difference was their combat strength, and that was only when they fought. Jun Tianya waved his sword. The sword chi he released had 3 kinds of law energy coiled around it. Night Sorrow was also suppressed by the law energy, which was why he used his law energy to counterattack. He knew that Jun Tianya wasn't a peak venerable but a half-saint. After activating his law energy to protect himself, Night Sorrow was no longer suppressed by Jun Tianya. The void true chi on the reincarnation spear collided with Jun Tianxia's 3 attribute energy. In terms of attribute energy research, Jun Tianya was stronger. However, no matter how deep his attribute energy research was, it was useless against the void true chi. It was completely neutralized. Following an explosion, Yishang retreated 2 steps, but Jun Tianya retreated even further. This was the result of Yishang's strong body and tyrannical strength. The Jun family was very strong. Other than Jun Tianya, there was another peak venerable. However, Yun Tianlong blocked him. Xue Wuling's speed was astonishing. She directly blocked the 2 high-rank venerables. She had no choice but to block them. High-rank venerables were harmful to the god-slaying squad. The battle was very intense. With someone blocking the peak venerables and high-rank venerables, the god-slaying squad was invincible. They started to kill crazily. Night Sorrow suppressed Jun Tianya. However, it was impossible for him to end the battle quickly. Yun Tianlong's attack was ferocious, but the opponent was also very strong. This situation made Night Sorrow a little anxious. The battle here was very loud. There were many cultivators in Xuanji Imperial City. If the battle couldn't end quickly, it would be troublesome. While Night Sorrow was anxious, Xue Wuling made an achievement. She killed a high-rank venerable and then suppressed the last high-rank venerable. Victory was only a matter of time. Night Sorrow was relieved. As long as there was one more invincible venerable, the situation would be under control. After calming down, Night Sorrow started to fight with Jun Tianya. In order to end the battle quickly, Night Sorrow used the law of nothingness to suppress Jun Tianya. The reincarnation spear violently bombarded him. At the same time, he was ready to use the soul-extinguishing slash. During this period of time, Night Sorrow's cultivation had been rapidly increasing. Although he didn't deliberately cultivate, the soul-extinguishing slash's crescent blade in Night Sorrow's spirit sea became more and more condensed. Now, Night Sorrow was looking for an opportunity to kill Jun Tianya. Yun Tianlong was very annoyed. His opponent's cultivation was clearly inferior to his, but he was like a loach. He just didn't want to fight with him. Just as Yun Tianlong was about to use a large-scale attack, a sword light flashed. Yun Tianlong's opponent's protective energy shield was torn apart. His body was cut open by the sword chi. Xue Wuling had casually attacked this peak venerable when she was chasing after her opponent. "Hugo, leave this one to me." Xue Wuling shouted and took over Yun Tianlong. Yun Tianlong nodded and went to chase after Xue Wuling's opponent. Yun Tianlong and Xue Wuling were 2 extremes. Yun Tianlong's attack was powerful, but speed was not his forte. Xue Wuling's speed was invincible, but the strength of her attack was average. Now that the opponent was changed, the situation would change. Chapter 846. Jun Tianya was very strong. If Night Sorrow wasn't here, he wouldn't have a problem fighting Yun Tianlong or Xue Wuling because he had comprehended 3 types of laws. However, Night Sorrow's law of nothingness was too overbearing, completely suppressing his advantage. He couldn't contend against Night Sorrow's power and the tyranny of nothingness true energy, so he was suppressed to the point of being forced to retreat. After blasting Jun Tianya back again, Night Sorrow used the soul-extinguishing slash because Jun Tianya's true energy was unstable at this time and his defense was weak. As Night Sorrow released the soul-extinguishing slash, a deep purple crescent blade streaked across the air, passing through Jun Tianya's protective chi shield and cutting towards his spirit sea. Jun Tianya's expression changed. His soul power surged out to block Night Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash. At this time, Night Sorrow, who had used the Void Extreme Slash, rushed in front of Jun Tianya and pierced his reincarnation spear towards Jun Tianya's chest. Jun Tianya, who was defending his spirit sea with all his strength, could only wave his sword to block Night Sorrow's spear. As the 2 weapons collided, A purple halo erupted from the tip of Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. The halo directly annihilated the part where Jun Tianya's sword and Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear clashed. After breaking Jun Tianya's weapon, Night Sorrow's right hand shook. The spear light burst out and directly broke Jun Tianya's protective chi shield, rushing into Jun Tianya's body and blasting him away. When the body was attacked, the soul power was naturally affected. Night Sorrow's soul extinguishing slash broke through Jun Tianya's Spirit C defense and directly slashed into his Spirit C. When his Spirit C was attacked, Jun Tianya was like a wooden man standing there foolishly. Night Sorrow's spear pierced into his dantian and then shattered it. Night Sorrow then pierced Jun Tianya's Spirit C with another spear, completely killing him. After taking Jun Tianya's storage ring and broken sword, Night Sorrow joined the other battle groups. At the same time, he gave the order to burn down the city lord's mansion and rob it. With the support of Night Sorrow, Yun Tianlong, and Shui Wuling, who were all below the saint stage, the god-slaying team had no pressure in the battle. They carried out Night Sorrow's orders directly. Night Sorrow, it's not a big problem. There are many people here, but there aren't many high-level venerables, Yun Tianlong said. This time we caught them off guard. In future battles it won't be so easy. We have to be faster. Although I removed the split crystal from the teleportation array, the sects near Profound Secrets Royal City must have teleportation arrays. They will still teleport back, Night Sorrow said. Half an hour later, the god-slaying squad finished sweeping through the Profound Secrets Imperial City's City Lord Manor. Nan Liyue handed over several storage rings to Night Sorrow. Retreat. While retreating, set fire to the city. Don't linger in battle, Night Sorrow ordered. After that, Night Sorrow led the way in front while Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling supported him from behind. They rushed out of the city. The members of the god-slaying team didn't stay idle either. They continuously threw out torches, poison, and poisonous water. Behind the group of people was a burning building. An hour later, the group left the Profound Secrets Royal City. Night Sorrow put the members of the god-slaying team into the space-time pagoda and quickly flew with Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling. At this moment, Jun Xuanji appeared in Profound Secrets Royal City with his men. Looking at the mess and the soaring flames of the city, their faces were filled with fury. We're still too late. The furious Xian Wenxiu spat out a mouthful of blood, dyeing his white robe red. Profound Secrets Royal City's teleportation formation couldn't be used. Knowing that Profound Secrets Royal City was under attack, Jun Xuanji brought his men to the Wandering Cloud Sword sect and flew towards Profound Secrets Royal City. However, they still didn't make it in time. Jun Xuanji arrived in front of Jun Tianya's corpse and looked at the wounds on his abdomen and head. Night Sorrow, you and I are irreconcilable. I'll definitely grind your bones to dust. Jun Tianya's body was covered with spear wounds. In the Nine Regions world, the strongest spear user below the Saint Realm was Night Sorrow. No matter how furious Jun Xuanji was, the only thing she could do now was to deal with the aftermath and stabilize the situation. Several thousand miles away from Profound Secrets Royal City, Night Sorrow led out the members of the god-slaying team and had them set up camp and prepare food. Night Sorrow, these two battles were beautiful. It can be said that the victory of our Nine Regions world has been decided. They won't dare to fight in the Nine Regions world after this, Shui Wuling said with a smile. We have too few people. It'll be troublesome if we're surrounded and intercepted. What we need to do now is to return to the Nine Regions world and take down the spatial passageway. After that, we'll bring our men to the Profound Secrets realm, Night Sorrow explained his plan. That's the best decision. I was really worried. You can just lead us here and kill. We can launch sneak attacks. If we fight head-on, we won't be a match for them, Yun Tianlong said with a smile. King Yun, Senior Shui, if you have any ideas, you can tell me. Our goal is to win the war, Night Sorrow said as he took out 2 jars of wine and tossed them to Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling. You've arranged it well. It's just that when you pass by the spatial passageway on your way back, you must be careful, Shui Wuling said after taking a sip of wine. Thank you for the reminder, Senior Shui. Night Sorrow nodded. Forever. Free novel reading. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow put everyone into the time-space treasure pagoda. He looked at the map and started flying. He wanted to find the nearest city and teleport to Three Sun City. One day later, Night Sorrow entered a city called Heavenly Strategy City. Dressed in white robes, Night Sorrow looked like a young master. No one would associate him with the Killing God or the Nine Regions commander. News of the war was spreading in Heavenly Strategy City. Profound Secrets Pavilion was destroyed and half of Profound Secrets Royal City was destroyed. This was a huge blow to the Profound Secrets realm. After teleporting to Three Sun City, Night Sorrow flew directly to the spatial passageway. He had to go back and organize the battle as soon as possible. When he arrived near the spatial passageway, Night Sorrow used the same method. He tore open the space and advanced through the spatial turbulence. Gutianyu's formation was very domineering, but so what? The spatial passageway Night Sorrow was moving through was completely different from the one he had set up. The inescapable net was useless. Within the spatial turbulence, Night Sorrow used his spiritual strength to probe the spatial passageway. He found that the strength of the ambush at the spatial passageway was not as strong as before. This meant that the Profound Secrets Realms people had already retreated. After passing through the blockade, Night Sorrow had Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling leave the time-space treasure pagoda. He told them that in order to confirm the situation in the Western Nether region, it would be best to first go to Western Nether City and Eastern Cloud City to investigate. Shui Wuling and Yun Tianlong naturally agreed. The two of them had absolute faith in Night Sorrow. After investigating, the three of them found that Western Nether City and Eastern Cloud City were empty cities that had been looted. There were no Profound Secrets realm people there. Taking out a flying ship, Night Sorrow sent the god-slaying squad out of the time-space treasure pagoda. They all drank and chatted. We destroyed their biggest sect and city. That's really satisfying, laughed Yun Tianlong. Chapter 847. When the airship appeared in the sky above the domain C of the 3 Yuan domain, the bugle horn of the 9 domains world sounded. It was the invincible venerable Wu Di from the Qingtian domain. You pig brain, that's Night Sorrow's ship. Looking at Wu Di, the Grand Elder directly scolded. Wu Di rubbed his nose and didn't say anything. He had fought with the Eastern Shen region and Northern Sea region before, so he still felt a little awkward. After controlling the airship to land, Night Sorrow's group walked out of the airship. What's the situation? Long Xianxing led the 9 regions' saints and sovereigns to greet them. Not bad, Night Sorrow said with a smile after putting away the airship. He's too modest. We fought twice and won both times. Now that the Profound Mysteries realm has retreated, we can take back the Western Nether region at any time, Yun Tianlong said with a smile. Can we take back the Western Nether region? Saint Heavenly Underworld asked excitedly. FG latest L chapter on *Fnet, West Underworld City, Eastern Cloud City, and other places no longer have any troops from the Profound Mysteries realm. The main reason is that we followed Night Sorrow to the Profound Mysteries Pavilion's mountain gate. We killed their vice pavilion lord and burned down their mountain gate. We also attacked their largest city, the Profound Mysteries Imperial City. They had no choice but to retreat, Shui Wuling said. She was extremely excited when she talked about these 2 battles. In war, time and opportunity are very important. Let's discuss the next step of the plan. Night Sorrow nodded to the group and walked towards the central tent. After Heavenly Underworld Saints sat down, he said, "We Saints will not participate. The others are not as smart and powerful as you. You can fight however you want." Yes, you can make the arrangements as you see fit. Long Xianxing nodded. Night Sorrow stood up and said, "All right then, I'll give my opinion first. If anyone feels that it's inappropriate or lacking, you can add on." Following that, Night Sorrow made his own arrangements. First, Yi Wuyo would lead a small group of people to continue guarding this place. Is that really necessary? Hu Xiao asked. It's necessary. If the Profound Mysteries realm has people hiding in the Western Nether realm, they can break through the defensive line and start a war inside the 9 regions world while we're defenseless. We'll be in a passive position and the advantages we've accumulated will be gone, Night Sorrow explained his reasons for making such arrangements. That is indeed the case. I was just spouting nonsense. Please continue with the arrangements. Hu Xiao cupped his hands and sat down. Secondly, get the formation masters to come over and set up the teleportation formations on the airships. War requires speed. Our attack and retreat routes must be fast and convenient. The teleportation formations must be fully set up and put into use, said Night Sorrow. Leave this task to me. I will arrange it immediately, said Elder Hua Haining of Tianji Tower. Third, gather half of the people and the array Grand Master. Follow me to take control of the spatial tunnel. Night Sorrow said to Grand Elder and Lu Qin. Gather half of the people. What about the rest? Asked Grand Elder. Ask the elders of Tianji Tower and Night Moon's invincible venerables to lead the team and eliminate the enemy forces in the Western Nether Realm, Night Sorrow said to Grand Elder. After listening to Night Sorrow's orders, everyone nodded. This arrangement was almost perfect. Half an hour later, Grand Elder had finished selecting the people. Then let's go. I'll have to trouble Father and Mother to take care of the defensive line here for a while. Night Sorrow nodded to Yu Wuyo and Yu Qing. Then, the group set off on the airship. At this time, the Nine Realms world had gathered 7 airships. The Saints, Nine Realms Venerables, and Night Sorrow sat in one. City Lord Tai Shu, City Lord Lu, we've gained a lot this time. The resources we looted from the Profound Pavilion are in these 3 storage rings. The resources we looted from the Profound Secrets Imperial City are in these 5 storage rings. I didn't take a look at the details. Yishan took out 8 storage rings and gave them to City Lord Tai Shu and Lu Qin. You brought people to fight. These resources were obtained by you. Naturally, you should keep them, said Grand Elder. Take them. The victory of the war was the result of everyone's cooperation. You, City Lord Lu Qin, and the others discuss what needs to be replenished and what needs to be used. In addition, the Western Nether Realm needs resources to be rebuilt, said Night Sorrow. Alright, let's discuss the use of the resources later. Grand Elder thought for a moment and nodded. This is the storage ring of the Profound Pavilion's Vice Pavilion Lord. This is the storage ring of the Imperial City's City Lord, Jun Tinya. Night Sorrow took out 2 more storage rings. During the war, looting warehouses and mansions is considered war resources. You killed the enemy's leader, so what the leader had is naturally yours. Don't take it out. None of us are thick-skinned enough to take it, said Lu Qin. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow put away the 2 storage rings. He didn't insist. If he did, it would be unreasonable and meaningless. If there's a chance, we must kill the leader. He has a lot of resources, said Yun Huang. You little brat, shut up. The leader can be killed at will. If I see him, I'll have to hide, scolded Yun Tianlong. Yun Huang shrunk his neck and didn't say anything. If he spoke again, he'd be scolded again. A bunch of brats. If you didn't have a good leader, you'd all be lying in your base right now. But you're not bad, said Shui Wuling with a smile. Yun Huang and the others nodded. They also understood that if Night Sorrow hadn't held them back, they wouldn't have been able to fight on the battlefield. After crossing the Realm Sea, Grand Elder and the others began to make arrangements. Some set up teleportation formations, while others led people to clean up the enemy. Night Sorrow's main force didn't stop. They kept moving toward the spatial channel's entrance. Once they were near the spatial channel's entrance, they put away their spatial ships. Formation Grandmasters, be careful. We'll suppress the enemy first, then break the formation and occupy this place. Night Sorrow led his people forward. After advancing for a while, Shang shouted for everyone to pay attention. He had discovered traces of a formation. 2 unrivaled supremacies come and protect Grandmaster Shang. Night Sorrow shouted behind him. As soon as Night Sorrow gave the order, some people followed to protect Shang. Shang began to study the formation. As he occasionally sent spirit stones into the formation, the enemy's formation lost its effect. At this time, the Profound Mysteries Realms people at the spatial channel's entrance became vigilant. Yi Xiantian pulled back Ren Tianji, who was about to fight. We can't rashly fight. The enemy is coming out in full force. If the formation doesn't work, We can only retreat. Vice Commander Yi, are we just going to surrender this place? Asked one of the profound mysteries realm's unrivaled supremacies. Chapter 848. After advancing for a few miles, entropy stopped. What's wrong? You can't break it? Vice Palace Lord, it's not that I can't break it. I just don't have enough spirit stones, said Entropy embarrassedly. The Grand Elder shook his head speechlessly. He gave Entropy a spatial ring. Use it as you wish. You must break this formation. This is called the Annihilation Formation. There's also a spatial ceiling formation. It won't be a problem for me. Entropy led the other two formation grandmasters forward. T-Head, 1. Vice Commander Yi, some of them know how to set up the Annihilation Formation. If the formation can't hold, it's too late to set up another formation, said Gutianyu. Damn it, go to the spatial channel and set up another formation. Yi Xiantian waved his hand at Gutianyu and had the people near the spatial channel retreat to the profound mysteries realm side. He knew they couldn't hold this side. Through the formation, Yi Xiantian knew how strong the people from the 9 regions world were. If the profound mysteries realm's high-level experts were all here, then it would be fine. But now, there was only a portion of them. If they fought head-on, they would just be sending themselves to their deaths. While Entropy was breaking his own formation, he was also directing the other formation grandmasters. His progress was very fast. When all the formations were broken, there were no longer any people from the profound mysteries realm here. They just retreated. Let's go in, said the Grand Elder to Night Sorrow. I'll think about it. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and pondered. Leave half of us here. City Lord Grand Elder will be in charge. The others, including Protector Entropy, enter my spatial treasure. Senior Saints, don't say anything. Don't interfere with the battle. Just watch the show. Night Sorrow took out the Spacetime Pagoda and enlarged it. At this time, no one was worried about whether or not it was safe to enter Night Sorrow's spatial treasure. They all entered the Spacetime Pagoda. Then Night Sorrow used a spatial crack to tear through the spatial channel's spatial barrier and enter the chaotic flow of space. After passing through the spatial tunnel, Yi Xiantian and the others watched in shock as he broke through the spatial barrier between the spatial tunnel and the profound mysteries realm. He entered the spatial crack in the profound mysteries realm. Sect Master Yi, our formation can't stop this situation. Gutianyu's expression was extremely ugly because the array formation set up at the intersection of the spatial passageway and the profound mysteries realm could not stop Night Sorrow from tearing through space. It's not your fault. Their means are too sharp. However, they wouldn't dare to rush out of the spatial crack. Once they do, the matrix will be activated, Yi Xiantian said. Night Sorrow traversed through the spatial turbulence for more than 15 kilometers. When he felt that the spatial barrier had returned to normal, he tore through space and returned to the profound mysteries realm. Everyone spread out and defend. Kill anyone that comes out. Night Sorrow gave the order. At the same time, he brought Lu Qin and Shui Wuhan to protect Shang. Night Sorrow was also breaking the array under Shang's command. He was also an array master. It was just that he hadn't studied array formations recently. We are surrounded. Through the formation, Yi Xiantian noticed the situation outside and side. Then sneak attack and kill that array master. That way, the formation will be able to hold on, said Gutianyu. Yi Xiantian nodded and sent a pinnacle honorable to follow Gutianyu to kill Shang. However, Yi Shang had already thought of this and severely injured Gutianyu. The pinnacle honorable was suppressed by Lu Qin and Shui Wuhan before being killed. Grandmaster Gu, lead the way. Find the weakest point of their seal. Evil Monarch will break out. Yi Xiantian knew that if they didn't leave now, they wouldn't be able to. The path that Gutianyu and the profound mysteries realm took was the path that Yun Tianlong and his people had been guarding. As soon as they appeared, Yun Tianlong let out a long whistle. Hearing Yun Tianlong's howl, Yi Sorrow led his men over. This was an opportunity to deal a heavy blow to the profound mysteries realm. If they could kill one more expert, they would have one less opponent in the following battles. When Night Sorrow and the others arrived, the battle was in chaos. Ren Tianji and Yi Xiantian were attacking Yun Tianlong. Fortunately, Yun Tianlong wasn't fighting to the death. He was just stalling for time, so he wasn't in too much danger. However, he had been stabbed in the back. When he saw Night Sorrow and the others arrive, Ren Tianji's body flashed and left the battlefield. Yi Xiantian wasn't so lucky. He was firmly entangled by Yun Tianlong. Night Sorrow did not chase after Ren Tianji. Without being affected by the advantages and disadvantages of entering the battle, it would be very difficult for Ren Tianji to catch up to him if he wanted to run. In the end, Ren Tianji's fighting spirit activated his energy, and his energy was endless. Even Night Sorrow could not exhaust him. Night Sorrow also didn't join the battle because it was meaningless. The 9 regions world's unrivaled venerables were killing the profound mysteries realm's people. There was no way for them to escape. Half an hour later, the battle ended. Only Ren Tianji had managed to escape. The others had all been killed. Next, Shang continued to break the formation. He completely destroyed the formation near the spatial channel. "We have the battle situation under control," said the Grand Elder. "That should be the case. Protector Shang, please work harder and set up a killing formation here. In the future, we won't give them a chance to enter our 9 regions world. The formation must be a composite one. It can't be broken easily," Night Sorrow said to Shang. "Young master, you're too polite. This isn't a problem. I won't make the same mistake as them. I'll make some formations that haven't appeared before." Shang nodded at Night Sorrow. Then, the 9 regions world's people began to set up camp. Some people also reported the situation to the 9 regions saint through the spatial channel. Knowing that the situation was under control, the 9 regions saint went through the channel and arrived at the command tent that Night Sorrow had just set up. "Night Sorrow, I thank you on behalf of the millions of creatures in the Western Nether region." Sky Underworld Saint cupped his hands at Night Sorrow. "Senior Sky Underworld Saint, you don't have to do this. Everyone in the 9 regions world is responsible for the war in the 9 regions world. Night Sorrow is naturally responsible for it." Night Sorrow cupped his hands in return. "You're right. But because of my impatience, the Western Nether region fell. I'm responsible for it. Fortunately, you took action and solved all these problems." Sky Underworld Saint smiled. "Night Sorrow, what's the plan next?" Xiaolongjun asked. Everyone was particularly excited and happy now. "We'll turn the tables around. With the advantage in hand, there's no need to rush. Let's clean up the Western Nether region first. After all, the war is in our hands now. We can fight however we want." Night Sorrow was the first to speak. "Then let's follow your train of thought. After the Western Nether region is cleaned up, there won't be any unstable elements in the 9 regions world." Long Xianxing nodded. Shang and the other formation grandmasters began to get busy. Night Sorrow also began to set up formations. Although he didn't know how to destroy formations, Night Sorrow was still capable of setting up ordinary formations. As he set up the formations, Night Sorrow's attainments in formations also increased. All-round talent. Lu Qin sighed emotionally as she watched Night Sorrow, Shang, and the other formation grandmasters busying themselves. "Back then when I first met him, he was still young. It's only been a few years since then. Heroes come from troubled times," said the Grand Elder. Chapter 849. "That's a domineering title," said Lu Qin. "Little girl, you only know how domineering a title is. You don't know the meaning behind it. When a cultivator's body reaches a certain level, their body will become immortal. When a cultivator's soul reaches a certain level, their soul will become immortal. Immortality is the goal of all cultivators, but that doesn't mean they can be called immortal," said Long Xianxing. Lu Qin blushed. If others called her a little girl, they would be asking for a beating. But Long Xianxing didn't go overboard at all. "Senior Long Xianxing, does that mean immortality is a realm?" asked Grand Elder. "I don't know. Maybe it's a cultivation realm, or maybe it's an achievement. There's no limit to cultivation. You've all seen Yishang's body. Even a peak venerable could only slightly injure him. If someone had told you before that a venerable could cultivate his body to this level, would you have believed it?" asked Long Xianxing. "I've never heard of it and I've never seen it. Naturally, I wouldn't believe it." Lu Qin nodded. As he cultivates, his body will become more domineering, said Long Xianxing. At this time, Night Sorrow returned. Seniors are all here. In 2 days, this place will be impregnable. Of course, if the other party's venerables can also tear through space, we won't be able to defend against them. In addition, we found their transportation formation outside the formation. It has already been destroyed. If the transportation formation was at the entrance of the spatial passage, we wouldn't have been able to kill them and would have escaped long ago, said Night Sorrow. There are very few cultivators with spatial attributes. Being able to tear through space is even more difficult. This is the terrifying talent of your Night Clan, said Xiaolonjun with a smile. Night Sorrow took a sip of tea from Yang Lei and said, after this place is stabilized, leave some people here. The rest will go to the Western Nether region and search for the remnants of the profound mysteries realm. Long Xianxing and the others nodded. They all agreed with Night Sorrow's suggestion. After drinking a sip of tea, Night Sorrow continued to work on the formation. This was also a tempering for him. The venerables were drinking tea in the tent. Steady. That's what it means to be steady, Long Xing said. In the beginning, I believed in his ability, True Sea Saint said. I believed in his strategy and wisdom, but I was worried that he was young and not calm enough. But it seems that he is very calm. Not only is his plan flawless, he is also very experienced. This is the fortune of our 9 regions world. Nan Ganxing nodded. Region Lord Wu, your Eastern Xin region shouldn't start a region war. We really can't handle it. If you have any problems in the future, just say it. The Flying Tiger Saint said with a smile. That won't happen. Our Eastern Xin region only seeks to develop ourselves. We're not willing to fight outside. However, we're not afraid of fighting outside. Wu Lingfei smiled. You're not afraid of fighting outside, but we are, said Saint Tian Hades. Our 9 realms should be united. I hope that the 9 realms will never have a civil war, Xiaolonjun said. The other saints nodded as well. It could be said that this was a great ambition. After setting up the array formation, Entropy led the array formation master through the spatial tunnel and went to the 9-domain world to set up the array formation. The 9 realms world side left behind a few essential members, while the others went to the Western Nether region to search for the remaining members of the profound mysteries realm. Yi Shang was free now. Every day, he would meditate and cultivate, stabilizing his cultivation and stabilizing it. After a few battles, Night Sorrow was convinced that he was invincible beneath the Saint Realm. As his cultivation base increased, that invincibility would only continue to increase. Hurry up! Hurry up! The God-slaying squad's members were cultivating at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. There were also saints willing to give them pointers. After cultivating a spatial crack and entering the space-time pagoda to recover, Night Sorrow took out the spoils he had obtained from the profound mysteries realm. Yu Heng's storage ring was very rich in resources. There were over 1,000 top-grade spirit stones and 50 to 60 top-grade spirit stones. In addition, there were also many alchemy and refining materials. This was a supplement for Yi Shang, who did not have many top-grade spirit stones. When he opened Jun Tianya's spatial ring, Night Sorrow was a bit dumbfounded. What's wrong? She brewed a pot of tea and asked Night Sorrow, how can that old fellow's wealth be so deep? Night Sorrow poured out everything in Jun Tianya's spatial ring. What's going on? She was also dumbfounded. The amount of resources Night Sorrow had taken out was too terrifying. Not to mention high-grade spirit stones, there were 300 or 400 top-grade spirit stones, and there were even over 20 Saint Spirit stones. There were all kinds of attribute crystals, and there were even 2 Void Dao stones. The most eye-catching thing was that there were over a dozen spirit artifacts. It's that City Lord's spatial ring, said Night Sorrow. Yes, that makes sense. He's the City Lord of Profound Mysteries Imperial City and the head of the Jun family. It's normal for him to keep some high-grade resources, said Xuexi. Due to the Saint contract, she couldn't participate in the battle, so she hadn't come out of the space-time pagoda. However, she knew some things. Last time I went to Supreme Sky City, I used up a lot of resources. Not only did I make up for it, but I also have a lot left over. I can use it however I want, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Xueshi was also happy for Night Sorrow. Having more resources was equivalent to paving the way for Night Sorrow. Xueshi, there's still something wrong. Normally he shouldn't have Saint Spirit Stones. The Profound Mysteries realm is similar to the 9 Regions world, so it's impossible for them to produce Saint Spirit Stones, said Night Sorrow. There are many possibilities. Our 9 Regions world is connected to a different space. If cultivators go there, the cultivators of the Profound Mysteries realm can also go there, said Xueshi. I know. It's possible. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't want the Profound Mysteries realm to be connected to a higher realm. After organizing the resources, Night Sorrow put them away. It feels good to have a lot of resources, said Night Sorrow as he tidied up his robes and paced back and forth. You're not just a lot of resources. You're a moving treasure trove. Whoever robbed you could support a sect for years, said Xueshi with a smile. She knew how much resources Night Sorrow had accumulated. It's always been me robbing others. The only one I let off was you, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Xueshi's situation was very bad at that time, so Night Sorrow didn't have the heart to touch her storage ring. Yes, I have to thank you for this, said Xueshi with a smile. After flirting with Xueshi for a while, Night Sorrow came out of the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda and gathered everyone at the God-Slaying Team's camp. Nan Liyue, distribute these storage rings. Those who didn't get one, don't worry. Everything will be given. Also, I got some weapons this time, distribute them. The principle of this batch of weapons is that those who enter the Supremacy realm will get it first. Those with compatible attributes will get it first. Yishang took out a dozen spiritual weapons and handed them to Nan Liyue. Captain, these are all spirit artifacts. Nan Liyue looked at Night Sorrow with surprise. Yes, so the principle is that the venerables get first. But everyone will get one sooner or later. Do you believe me? Shouted Night Sorrow. Chapter 850. So many spirit artifacts. Are these spirit artifacts for your brothers? Xielanjun asked. Night Sorrow looked at the group of saints and said, We've gained a lot from the battles during this period of time. Let's equip our brothers. Seniors, if you have any low-grade weapons, take them out if you don't need them. There's no point in keeping them. Us brothers are the ones who truly kill the enemy. All right, you win. Zhen Haisheng took out 2 sabers and handed them to Night Sorrow. The others also took out some weapons, the least of which was a spirit artifact. Brothers, thank you seniors. Night Sorrow shouted. In response to Night Sorrow's words, the members of the God-Slaying squad howled. Skull. LF initial high hair I. In the future, you can't just casually watch. You'll lose weight if you do. Heavenly Underworld Saint looked at Night Sorrow and said. Hearing Heavenly Underworld Saint's words, everyone laughed. However, seeing your strength increase and being able to fight better for the 9 zones, I don't feel any heartache. Heavenly Underworld Saint said while stroking his beard. After letting the members of the God-Slaying squad make their own arrangements, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and chatted with the Saint of the 9 realms. The 9 domains world had stabilized, but the Profound Mysteries realm was in chaos. Jun Xuanji had set up a defensive line near the 3 Suns mountain range in the 3 Sun city. Unlike the 9 regions world, the Profound Mysteries realm did not have a barrier like the Realm Sea. The atmosphere in Jun Xuanji's command tent was oppressive because the Profound Mysteries realm had suffered too much recently. They had lost nearly half of their strength, and this was before the real battle. Grand Elder, we won't be able to defend like this. We can only fight head-on. Jun Xuanji was wearing a plain white dress because too many people had died in the family. Jun Tianya was her grandfather. Our terrain is indeed not suitable for defense. It can be said that if they want to come in, they can come in, Shen Wenxiu said. Grand Elder, I'll make the arrangements right away. Jun Xuanji looked at Shen Wenxiu. Since it's already come this far, you can go all out, Shen Wenxiu said. Shang Luo also nodded. The mysterious Heaven Sword sect still existed, but the sect master had died in battle. All the peak sovereigns had died in battle. After that, Jun Xuanji gave the order to surround the spatial passageway and prevent the cultivators of the nine-domain world from entering the profound mysteries realm. Then what should we do with the group that's still in the hinterlands of our profound mysteries realm? A man asked. He was the sect master of the Flowing Cloud Sword sect, Yufeng. He's determined to kill me. Everyone, if you see that Night Sorrow, send out saints to kill him. Grand Elder Xian, can you make the arrangements? Jun Xuanji looked at Xian Wenxiu with killing intent. Jun Xuanji's words stunned everyone in the command tent. This was a ruthless move. Not only was he ruthless to the enemy, but he was also ruthless to his own people. I can arrange it. Gu Nanxing, do you have any questions? Xian Wenxiu looked at one of the saints. No problem. As long as there's any news, notify me and I'll act. One of the saints nodded. They only have 1 or 2 sovereigns that we can't suppress. We'll send out the weakest saints. Once we kill those 2, the situation will change. Remember, saints will die if they attack, so we have to end the battle quickly. Kill them before the world's laws descend, even if we have to self-detonate, said Xian Wenxiu. All right. Gu Nanxing nodded. Gu Nanxing, as long as I'm alive, no one can touch your family or sect, said Xian Wenxiu. Many thanks, Saint Xian. Perhaps this is the time for me to contribute to the profound mysteries realm. Gu Nanxing cupped his hands toward Xian Wenxiu. Then Jun Xuanji ordered all the profound mysteries realm's warriors to head toward the spatial passageway. She wanted to fight a decisive battle ahead of time. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, someone came to inform Night Sorrow that the profound mysteries realm's people were about to arrive. After leaving the tent, Night Sorrow saw that the formation had been activated. The spatial passageway was filled with chaotic spatial energy, and anyone who dared to enter would be killed. Night Sorrow raised his reincarnation spear and walked out of the formation. He stood at the edge of the formation and looked at the profound mysteries realm's people. Jun Xuanji had led his people to completely seal off the area. What, you can't hold on anymore and want to fight ahead of time? Asked Night Sorrow as he looked at the veiled Jun Xuanji. Do you dare? Jun Xuanji spat out. Of course I dare, but I don't want to. If I fight however you want me to, I'll lose face. Remember, I'll fight however I want you to. If I want to fight, I'll fight. If I want to steadily advance, I'll steadily advance. What can you do to me? Night Sorrow directly pointed out the profound mysteries realm's passive situation. Remember, this formation isn't omnipotent. Once we flatten this formation, we'll slaughter our way into the 9-domain worlds. We'll slaughter everyone, said Jun Xuanji through clenched teeth. Slaughter everyone? Fine, if you want to slaughter everyone, then I'll slaughter everyone. The next time I slaughter a city, you'll have to pay the price for saying those words, said Night Sorrow as he pointed his reincarnation spear in the direction of the profound mysteries realm. Last time, we only killed cultivators. It seems there was no need for that. They're the ones who crossed the line, said Yun Tianlong as he stood beside Night Sorrow. Formation masters, break the formation. Jun Xuanji waved his hand. A few formation masters came out from the profound mysteries realm and were about to break the formation. Night Sorrow raised his protective barrier. As long as the formation masters came close, he would attack. He had an absolute advantage fighting at the edge of the formation. Grand Elder Xian, arrange for people, said Jun Xuanji as he glanced at the group of saints behind him. Aloof saint, capture him. Xian Wenxiu looked at a saint behind him. The saint from the ancient south was waiting for Night Sorrow's news in the profound mysteries realm, so he could only choose another person. This was a tall saint. When Xian Wenxiu called out his name, he was stunned for a moment. His eyes were filled with sadness. He knew that he was cannon fodder that the profound mysteries realm used to fight against the supremacies. Leng Yun's figure flashed as he charged towards Yishan. Retreat! Shouted Night Sorrow. He knew that the situation wasn't right. He had thought that it would either be Jun Xuanji or Ren Tianji, but he hadn't expected it to be a saint. Following Night Sorrow's roar, Yun Tianlong, the grand uncles, and the others retreated into the formation. After Night Sorrow roared, his protective barrier slashed diagonally and he dodged to the side. He couldn't retreat. There were people from the 9 regions behind him, and he didn't want to bring danger to them. Night Sorrow's body flashed extremely quickly, but the aloof saint was even faster. He directly charged at Night Sorrow. At this moment, clouds appeared in the sky and rapidly descended. Night Sorrow knew that this was the punishment of the world's law power. He had to survive before the world's law power killed the opponent's saint. The opponent was using a self-harming tactic to kill him. Spatial Crack Night Sorrow used Spatial Rend and then drilled into the spatial fissure. Aloof Saint couldn't let Night Sorrow escape, so he clasped his hands together. Seal. Chapter 851. Since he couldn't enter the spatial crack, Night Sorrow switched his protective barrier to the faster protective barrier of his bloodline. Then he turned and slashed, dodging Lung Jun's path. You must die today. Lung Jun continued to chase after Night Sorrow. He knew that he didn't have much time left. The power of the regulations of the world would arrive soon. Lung Jun was a saint, and he was confident in his own strength. However, he knew that he would definitely die when facing the power of the regulations of the world. Even the Open Cloud Saint, a high-level saint, couldn't do it, let alone him, a 3-star saint. Night Sorrow didn't intend to fight with the saint. Putting aside the large difference in strength between them, Jun Xuanji had also unsheathed his sword. As long as he was entangled, he would be attacked from both sides. When Night Sorrow planned to retreat into the formation, he realized that Lung Jun's body was beginning to swell. Night Sorrow could even see the energy crazily circulating inside Lung Jun's body. Self-detonation. How could Night Sorrow not be able to analyze the situation? Gritting his teeth, he charged towards the Profound Mysteries Realm's camp. If you want to self-detonate, then come. Send more saints to stop me. Seeing Night Sorrow charge towards their camp, Xian Wenxiu was stunned. Jun Xuanji was also stunned. They didn't know how to control themselves. Sending more saints would be useless. That would be a loss for nothing. Don't come over. Jun Xuanji shouted at Lung Jun as he drew his sword to block Night Sorrow. Xian Wenxiu really wanted to tell him to go into the formation and self-detonate, but he didn't dare to. Once he did, it would be a violation of the saint contract. Lung Jun, who didn't dare to charge forward and couldn't drag Night Sorrow down with him, was dumbfounded. He could only allow the uncontrollable energy to break through his body. Night Sorrow didn't get entangled with Jun Xuanji. He slashed his protective barrier twice and changed direction, landing at the place where Lung Jun had died. With a wave of his left hand, he grabbed Lung Jun's storage ring and Saint Crystal. Then he entered the formation. Jun Xuanji chased after her for a few steps before retreating to a safe area. She didn't dare to approach the array formation area. Not only would she be attacked by the array formation, but she would also be attacked by the people inside the array formation. No one attacked, so Night Sorrow walked out of the array and smiled as he looked at Jun Xuanji and the others. Quite ruthless, saints fighting against sovereigns. Not bad. Thank you for these saint crystals and storage rings. You'll definitely die. Jun Xuanji was about to go crazy with rage. Not only had the Grim Saint failed to kill Night Sorrow, but he had also given Night Sorrow a Saint Crystal and a spatial ring for free. She knew that the Grim Saint's spatial ring was filled with valuable resources. Smelly mouth, you're boasting shamelessly again. If you have any ideas, come at me. I'll see how you guys play before I decide how to play. There are so many cities and sects on this map. I can attack wherever I want. Night Sorrow took out the map of the Profound Mysteries realm and shook it. #you. It wasn't just Jun Xuanji. All of the cultivators from the Profound Mysteries realm were angered by Night Sorrow. This was a provocation, a threat, but it wasn't a threat at all. It was a clear deterrence. If you want to start a war, then you'll have to bear the consequences. Pass down my orders. If any array formation masters come near, kill them at all costs, Night Sorrow said to the cultivators of the 9 regions hidden in the array formation before retreating. Jun Xuanji thought for a moment before waving his sleeve. Don't worry about resources. Use a large array to cover their array formation. Cover this entire place. Xian Wenxiu turned and returned to his tent. He knew that Jun Xuanji's strategy was correct. It was just that sometimes, it wasn't effective. Night Sorrow returned to the Nine Regions World's tent and poured himself a cup of tea. He took a sip and said, "The profound mysteries realm can't be stabilized anymore. Night Sorrow, this is our mistake. We didn't have time to help you just now," Heavenly Underworld Saint said apologetically. Night Sorrow shook his head and said, "Our saints shouldn't do anything. Just now, the world's laws almost descended. Going against the heavenly Tao oath won't end well. Our saints intercepted their saints. That's not interfering in the war but stopping it," said Long Xianxing. "Saints have to be extremely careful. They don't have any humanity left. If a saint wants to be cannon fodder, then they'll be cannon fodder." Night Sorrow knew that the profound mysteries realm was being ruthless. If a saint doesn't do anything, then no one will be able to contend against you. They're also helpless. "It's just that they're being too unscrupulous," said Xiaolonjun. "War is cruel. It's normal to be ruthless to the enemy, but it's also ruthless to your own people. But that's fine. I'll be more careful in the future. I don't believe that they have many saints to fight with," snorted Night Sorrow. He felt that the profound mysteries realm was being ruthless to their own people. "Night Sorrow, from now on, you just need to make the tactical arrangements. We'll leave the fighting to the others," said Yun Tianlong. Yi Shang shook his head. The other side had Jun Xuanji and Ren Tianji, two ferocious people below the saint stage. Other than him who could restrain them and Yi Wuyo who could contend against them, the others could only be killed. "That's too shameless," cursed Xue Wuling. "War is about using everything," said Night Sorrow calmly. Soon, Lu Qin came to report that the other side was building a defensive formation. Should the Nine Regions army attack now? No. If we fight head-on, we'll suffer great losses. Night Sorrow rejected Lu Qin's suggestion. "How can there be no deaths in war? Night Sorrow, we're determined to fight to the death for the Nine Regions world," said the granduncles. "We need to use our skills to fight. The lives of the profound mysteries realms people are like grass, but the lives of the Nine Regions world's people are precious to me. Martial uncle granduncles, arrange for people to hide in the formation. As soon as their formation masters come, use hidden weapons and poison. Notify the Sanyuan region's defensive line and the Western Nether region's people to come," ordered Night Sorrow. The grand uncles cupped their hands and went to make the arrangements. "Monarch Yun, Senior Xue, I'll go out in a bit. When I attack Jun Xuanji and Ren Tianji, you two lead the other venerables to attack. Remember, when I say retreat, you have to retreat," said Night Sorrow to Yun Tianlong and Xue Wuling. "All right, we'll listen to you." Yun Tianlong and Xue Wuling nodded. "The two of you don't get too close. Don't tangle with the other side's venerables. Just attack the mid and early venerables. Their saints shouldn't attack you. After that, throw the poison into their crowd," said Night Sorrow. "Haha, just thinking about it makes me happy," laughed Xue Wuling. "Then let's go." Night Sorrow raised his reincarnation spear and left the tent. He entered the formation and approached the profound mysteries realm's camp. Long Xianxing and Heavenly Underworld Saint also followed behind. They were afraid that Night Sorrow would be tricked by the saints. If that happened, it would be the fault of their saints. Chapter 852. The reincarnation spear in Night Sorrow's right hand shot toward Jun Xuanji. When Jun Xuanji blocked with his sword, Night Sorrow's body moved in an arc, and the target of the spear became Ren Tianji. "If you dare to come out, then die." Jun Xuanji roared and waved his sword toward Night Sorrow. Jun Tianya's death and the Jun family's destruction made Jun Xuanji extremely angry. He couldn't wait to kill Night Sorrow. This was the effect that Night Sorrow wanted. He wanted to restrain Jun Xuanji and Ren Tianji, and then let Yun Tianlong, Xue Wuling, and the others attack and kill the others. At this time, Long Xianxing and Heavenly Underworld Saints stood at the edge of the array and looked at the saints of the profound mysteries realm. As long as the saints of the profound mysteries realm dared to attack, they would stop them. Before the heavenly punishment arrived, the sovereigns of the Nine Regions world would be safe. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear moved freely and began to fight with Ren Tianji and Jun Xuanji. Although Ren Tianji didn't enter the state of losing himself due to the killing intent, he still used his killing intent to activate his saber. His combat strength was far beyond ordinary sovereigns. When Jun Xuanji attacked with his sword, he also used the 4 extreme combined attack to suppress Night Sorrow and let Ren Tianji kill him. Night Sorrow roared, and the law of nothingness rippled in all directions, forcing Jun Xuanji's 4 extreme combined attack away from the area around him. Then he continued to attack Ren Tianji with his spear. The violent spear aura suppressed Ren Tianji completely. Night Sorrow chose to suppress Ren Tianji because he had a reason. He wanted to suppress Ren Tianji until he entered the state of bedevilment. At that time, he wouldn't be a threat to the people of the 9 regions world and would be a big trouble for the profound mysteries realm. The battle was very fierce. Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling didn't fight the sovereigns of the profound mysteries realm. Instead, they killed ordinary sovereigns. Others couldn't interfere in the battle between Night Sorrow, Jun Xuanji, and Ren Tianji. The 3 of them were peak cultivators below the Saint realm, and their combat strength was even comparable to Saints. Whether it was sword chi, saber astral blade, or spear chi, they could all injure and kill people. As the battle raged on, Night Sorrow let out a long howl. Void True Chi and Power of Desolates alternated attacks, suppressing Jun Xuanji and Ren Tianji to the point that they could only defend and could not attack. How you want to fight? I'll accompany you to the end? I'll accompany you to the end? Whatever you want to fight. I'll accompany you to the end, I'll accompany you will to the end? You I will fight you, I to the end, I will fight will to the end, I will the world sorrow fight me. Long Xiansheng looked at Xian Wenxiu. Xian Wenxiu's body was surging with energy, and he seemed to have the intention to attack. Noticing Long Xuansheng's saber, Xian Wenxiu didn't move. Even if he wanted to risk the wrath of heaven to kill Yishang, Long Xiansheng and Heavenly Underworld Saint wouldn't allow it. At that moment, Yun Tianlong shouted, "Commander, it's about time." Night Sorrow turned to look. He saw that after Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling killed some people, they were being chased by the other side's sovereigns. They couldn't do anything else, so he gave the order, "Retreat." After forcing Jun Xuanji back with a spear strike, Yishang's body drew a semicircle, bypassing Ren Tianji who was attacking him. Then, with 2 slashes from his chi shield, he arrived at the edge of the array formation. Night Sorrow ignored the eyes of the profound mysteries realm's people. He looked at Yun Tianlong and Shui Wuling and asked, "How are the results?" Sovereign Wu Hen Mi and the others killed more than a dozen mid-level sovereigns. "We didn't count the low-level sovereigns," Yun Tianlong reported. "It's okay. We don't need to count the low-level sovereigns. Hey, you guys be careful. I'm going to drink some tea. It's hard to say when we'll fight again. If we're in a good mood, we might continue to kill. If we're in a bad mood, we might take it out on you guys. Let's go." Night Sorrow raised his reincarnation spear and gave the order to retreat. After returning to the tent, Night Sorrow brewed some tea and drank it. Today's killing was really satisfying. They must be wondering if Commander Night Sorrow's mood is good or bad, Shui Wuling said with a laugh. "Yeah, whether he's in a good mood or not is a good thing," Yun Tianlong said with a smile. Today, they had suppressed the profound mysteries realm's people. Everyone was relieved. Next, Night Sorrow talked about the current problem. The sovereigns and peak sovereigns hadn't arrived yet. Compared to the 9 upper regions, they were at a disadvantage. So, they had to play it safe. "Night Sorrow, I'm not worried about this. The main thing is that you have to be careful. They've really been driven crazy. The saints are willing to risk the heavenly Tao's condemnation to kill you." "This explains the situation," Long Xiansheng said. "That's true. I'll be careful." Night Sorrow nodded. "This kind of situation will happen to you and your father. If it's someone else, they won't fight so hard." Heavenly Underworld Saint looked at Night Sorrow, then at the other sovereigns and said, "We're not afraid. From another perspective, it's equivalent to us sovereigns killing their saints," Yun Tianlong said. "You're dreaming. I'll talk about it when he sees you." Grand Uncle, who had returned from the spatial tunnel, looked at Yun Tianlong and said, "She had already arranged the deployment. City Lord Grand Uncle, this king snatched your territory last time. That was his fault. In the end, didn't this king return it to you? Don't take it to heart, Yun Tianlong said. Cool. That matter is long over. I was just stating the facts. King Yun, you're overthinking. Grand Uncle said with a smile. At night, the people of the 9 regions gathered at the entrance of the tunnel. Yiweo and Night Moon were both there. This meant that the top forces of the 9 regions were all here. We'll fight again tomorrow. After everyone sat down and talked about the current situation, Night Sorrow made the decision. After everyone dispersed, Night Sorrow and his parents returned to their tent. Son, the saints of the other side are planning to make a move on you. You have to be careful. Yu Qing said to Night Sorrow. Mother, don't worry. I'm not a child. Night Sorrow said with a smile. How are you not a child? No matter how great your achievements are, no matter how many wives and children you have, in my eyes, you'll always be a child. Yu Qing glared at Night Sorrow and said, Mother is right. Night Sorrow stood up and bowed to Yu Qing. Why are you so serious? The child is already a commander of the 9 regions. He knows what to do. Yi Weo looked at Yu Qing and said, Weo, because I've lost before, I know how deep the pain is. I understand how precious everything I have today is. My son, my daughter, and you are all I have. Yu Qing wiped the corners of her eyes and said, Mother, I understand. From now on, I'll do whatever you say. Night Sorrow said, You have your own path, but every time you do something, think about your father and me. Yu Qing nodded. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow gathered his people. Then he looked at Yiweo. Father, when we fight later, be careful. They can do anything to saints that they can't control. Chapter 853. Night Sorrow looked at the saints who had come with him. He then walked over to Long Xianxing and Heavenly Underworld Saint and bowed. Don't worry. Long Xianxing nodded. He knew that Yishang was bowing for his family. He wanted Long Xianxing and Heavenly Underworld Saints to take care of his family. When Yishang fought, he never had any requests. Night Sorrow turned around and looked at the 9 regions' invincible sovereigns and peak sovereigns. Everyone to take care. Let's drink and chat when we return. After saying that, Night Sorrow walked out of the formation and rushed toward Jun Xuanji and the others' tent. Soon Yiweo and the others also came out. After Jun Xuanji led his people to surround the large array at the spatial passageway, he began to arrange the array formation. Because it required a lot of work to set up the array formation, including entropy and the others, the Profound Mysteries Realm's main camp was set up at the front, and the array formation was set up from the corners. After Night Sorrow appeared, he threw the torch and poison at the Profound Mysteries Realm's camp. Since it was a war, there were no rules to worry about. Since Jun Xuanji had said that he would not spare even the fowls and dogs of the 9 regions world, there was nothing wrong with the 9 regions world being ruthless. As the 9 regions world's people charged, the Profound Mysteries Realm's camp fell into chaos. They could only hastily fight back. This time, Jun Xuanji had also miscalculated. She felt that the 9-domain world's strength below the Saint stage was not enough and did not dare to fight the Profound Mysteries Realm head-on. However, when the 9-domain world's forces arrived, the difference between the two sides was not that great. Moreover, it was a surprise attack tactic. Night Sorrow was suppressing Yiweo's attacks because Jun Xuanji's 4 extremes attack countered Yiweo. Night Sorrow would not give him a chance to attack Yiweo. On the other hand, Ren Tianji's side was very strong. However, they did not have much of an advantage against Yiweo. At this time, Night Moon's 4 invincible sovereigns' power was displayed. Spatial blades continuously flew toward the Profound Mysteries Realm's camp, and the Profound Mysteries Realm's cultivators were constantly killed. At the same time, the protective barrier was of the spatial attribute, so its speed was extremely fast. See XG New Chapter. Section P. The Saints also looked at each other. The Saints of the 9 Domains world had no intention of attacking, and the Saints of the Profound Mysteries world also had no intention of attacking. If they did, they would suffer the wrath of the world's origin, and it would not be effective. The battle was extremely intense. There were injuries on the 9 regions side, but none of them were killed. This was because there were high-level supreme experts with a joint attack formation. Regardless of their destructive power, their self-preservation abilities were extremely strong. After fighting for a while, Night Sorrow saw that the profound mysteries realm had recovered and was able to stabilize their footing. He let out a long howl and gave the order to retreat. Just as Night Sorrow was about to retreat, he realized that Xue Wuling was surrounded. She could not use her speed. A few invincible sovereigns surrounded her. She could not even protect herself, let alone retreat. Moreover, she was already injured. Night Sorrow directly slashed at Xue Wuling's opponent with a spatial rend. Then he ignored Jun Xuanji's attack and rushed toward Xue Wuling. He could not let Xue Wuling die. After several battles, Night Sorrow and Xue Wuling hit it off very well. Jun Xuanji's long sword broke through Night Sorrow's protective barrier and left a bloody wound on Night Sorrow's back. Night Sorrow reached Xue Wuling's side. He waved his reincarnation spear and repelled the attacks of two invincible sovereigns. This allowed Night Sorrow's back to be broken through by two invincible sovereigns. They slashed his shoulder and lower back twice. "Let's go!" Night Sorrow grabbed Xue Wuling and entered the spatial rend. Before entering the spatial rend, Night Sorrow's waist was slashed by Jun Xuanji again. Night Sorrow traveled through the spatial rend to the edge of the 9 regions defensive array. He tore open the spatial rend again and walked out. "Even if you don't die, you'll suffer," Jun Xuanji said to Night Sorrow while holding his long sword. "That's nothing. We killed many of your people." Night Sorrow let go of Xue Wuling and handed her over to the Grand Uncle for treatment. "Haha, as long as we can injure you," the 9 regions commander, Jun Xuanji said to Night Sorrow. "I was thinking too much. Help me wipe it off." Yi Shan directly took off his outer robe and upper garment. He threw his robe that had been cut into strips at his back to Lu Qin, who was walking over. At this moment, everyone saw that the wound on Night Sorrow's back had already formed a scab. After Lu Qin helped him wipe it, Night Sorrow took out a set of battle robes and put them on. "If you have time, prepare more battle robes for me. Every time I change into battle robes, some of their people will die." Jun Xuanji's expression turned ugly. He originally thought that the profound mysteries realm would have profited by injuring Night Sorrow, even if some of their people died. However, it turned out that his thoughts were very naive. "You can rest now. But be careful. I'll be back at any moment. Let's go back and prepare a feast." Night Sorrow placed his reincarnation spear into the holster on his back. He then led his people back to the camp at the spatial rend. "Commander, Xue Wuling owes you a life. If you need anything, just let me know," Xue Wuling, who had calmed down, said. "Senior Xue, what are you saying? We're all fighting for the 9 regions. I've already said that the lives of the 9 regions people are precious in my eyes. I won't abandon anyone," Night Sorrow said as he shook his head. Xue Wuling nodded. She knew that this was Night Sorrow. He was ruthless to his enemies but kind to his own people. He was willing to sacrifice himself to save them. After that, the 9 regions people held a celebratory feast. Night Sorrow, his parents, and Wu Lingfei sat together. "You little bastard, why did you ignore what I told you?" Yu Qing looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Mother, my body is strong. Normal attacks won't hurt me. I don't want the people of the 9 regions to die. We're all children and parents. I don't want the other children to be like me, unable to see their parents from a young age, unable to live by their parents' side, unable to enjoy their happiness," Night Sorrow said in a low voice. "Son, it's Mother's fault for scolding you." Hearing Yi Shang's words, Yu Qing turned her head away. Her tears fell. She knew that not being able to live with his parents was a pain in Yi Shang's heart. That was why he was so persistent. Many people fell silent after hearing Night Sorrow's words. They rejoiced that they had a commander like Night Sorrow. No one from the 9 regions world had died yet. If it were someone else, even if they had the upper hand in the war, corpses would be strewn all over the place. Who knew how many families would have been destroyed? "Night Sorrow, Auntie Fei toasts you." Wu Lingfei stood up and raised her wine bowl to Night Sorrow. She knew that Night Sorrow had truly matured. When he needed to be domineering, he was domineering. When he needed to be benevolent, he was benevolent. After this battle, Night Sorrow's prestige would be unmatched in the Nine Regions world. No one would be able to surpass him. Following Wu Lingfei's words, the Nine Regions world's people all stood up and raised their wine bowls to Night Sorrow. Even the saints were no exception. Next, we'll consider the problem of war. After this sneak attack, I've realized that the difference in power between us isn't that great. But brute force isn't the way to go. Let's see if we can win this war without paying any price, or with the smallest price, said Night Sorrow after drinking a bowl of wine. In the past, the mode of attack and defense was a battle of attrition. But this time, it seems different. If we continue fighting like this, we might be able to conquer them, said Xiaolon Jun. Chapter 854. If they want to seal this place, it means they don't want us to fight our way in. Then we'll just fight our way in. We'll fight until they're convinced, said Night Sorrow. Then tell me what you think. Long Xianxing nodded at Night Sorrow. Normally speaking, we should be defending this war. Now that we've defended the spatial channel, we've won the war. However, I don't plan to do that. If we stop now, the profound mysteries realm will have to fight again after many years of stability. At that time, who knows how many people will be affected by the flames of war. So, I plan to settle this once and for all. As for how many people I've killed, Night Sorrow, will bear the consequences, said Night Sorrow. To the profound mysteries realm, you've sinned deeply. But to the people of the Nine Regions world, you've done a great deed, said Xiaolon Jun. Everlasting Saint, you're gravely mistaken. Night Sorrow has done a great deed to the people of the Nine Regions world. Even to the profound mysteries realm, he's done a great deed. If we stop now, we'll be doing a great deed. But if we completely resolve the war between the profound mysteries realm and the Nine Regions world, wouldn't that be a great deed to the people of the profound mysteries realm as well? Said Long Xianxing. That's right. If we settle this with one battle, then the people of the profound mysteries realm won't be harmed by the flames of war in the future. Sky Underworld Saint nodded. Whether it's a great deed or a great deed isn't important. Since we were born in this era, we should shoulder what we have to shoulder. Now, I'll talk about the battle plan. They want to fight at the entrance of the spatial channel, but we won't. We'll fight at their core. Tomorrow, the unrivaled sovereigns will fight with me. The high-level sovereigns and formation grandmasters will guard this place. We can't afford to lose this place, said Night Sorrow. After that, Yishang left the banquet and returned to his tent to meditate and cultivate. This is the era of Night Sorrow, the era of the Nine Zones world. Anyone who can't live with the Nine Zones world is asking for trouble, Underworld Saint said. Long Xianxing didn't say anything. He was a little worried in his heart. He was worried that the profound mysteries realm would resort to unscrupulous means and use the lives of saints to fight against Night Sorrow. Moreover, they had no way to protect him. The area around the spatial passageway was occupied by the Nine Regions world, and they could move about freely. However, the other areas of the profound mysteries realm couldn't. That would be considered an invasion and interference in the war. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow began to gather his men. Father, I'll have to trouble you to guard this place. Mother cultivates the earth element and is good at defense, so she'll stay here as well. The other invincible paragons will enter the space-time pagoda. Night Sorrow extended his left hand, and the space-time pagoda enlarged. Cool Exa starter then, more than 10 invincible venerables entered the pagoda of time and space one after another. God-slaying squad, enter. Night Sorrow shouted to the members of the God-slaying squad. Night Sorrow, be careful, said Wu Lingfei, looking at Night Sorrow. Wu Lingfei said as she looked at Yishang. She wasn't worried about a saint attacking because she knew that Shi was in Yishang's pagoda of time and space. If a saint attacked and Yishang couldn't handle it, Shi would be able to stop him. Shi was a special case because she had been in the space-time pagoda when the saint contract had been signed. It could be said that her presence in the space-time pagoda was recognized by the laws of both worlds. Thus, it was fine for her to follow Night Sorrow. Yi Shuang bowed to his parents and then walked into the array. He found a place where the spatial shackles were relatively weak and then used spatial rend to travel through the turbulent flow of space. the chaotic flow of space was different from the chaotic flow of space in the Realm C. It wasn't as strong, and Night Sorrow had the law of nothingness protecting him. Adding on the spatial barrier, he didn't expend much energy and was able to travel quickly. Soon, Night Sorrow passed through Jun Xuanji's blockade and traveled another 300 or 400 miles before tearing through space and flying toward the profound mysteries realm. Night Sorrow was a small target, and the Three Sun Mountain Range's weakened defenses couldn't stop him. After entering the Three Suns City, Yishang swaggered down the streets. The teleportation array was heavily guarded, but no one checked Yishang's image as a rich young master. Those who knew Yishang were the upper echelons of the profound mysteries realm. How could the guards of the teleportation array know him? After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow teleported back to Profound Mysteries Imperial City. The Profound Mysteries Imperial City was currently being rebuilt. It was the #1 city in the Profound Mysteries realm, so the Profound Mysteries realm naturally couldn't give it up. Night Sorrow exited the teleportation formation and killed the guards with a wave of his reincarnation spear. Next, he transferred everyone out of the space-time pagoda and removed the teleportation crystals from the teleportation formation. Last time, we destroyed the west side. We didn't destroy the east side. Now, we'll focus on the east side and kill all cultivators above rank 3. If there are any resources, we'll take them. Now, we'll split into 4 groups and return here in 1 hour, Yishan ordered. Next, Night Sorrow led Yun Tianlong, Tai Shu, and a portion of the God-slaying squad to the City Lord's mansion for a second round of cleansing. There were no experts in Profound Mysteries Imperial City right now, so how could it withstand the attacks of the 9 regions' elites? Profound Mysteries Imperial City was once again ignited by the flames of war. Some shops and branches of major forces were being wiped out. Night Sorrow, Tai Shu, and the others easily killed the City Lord's mansion's men and looted the resources before returning to the teleportation formation. Night Sorrow and the others waited for a while before the other 3 groups returned. Are there any injuries? If there are, enter my space-time pagoda to heal. Night Sorrow asked the leaders of the groups. After learning that there were no injuries and that they didn't consume too much energy, Night Sorrow took out a teleportation crystal from his waist and inserted it into the teleportation formation. Forget it. Teleport to wherever we go and kill. Worried that there would be danger, Night Sorrow sent everyone into the space-time pagoda and started the teleportation. After arriving at the new city, Night Sorrow took over the teleportation formation and removed the teleportation crystals. Then he ordered everyone to split into several groups and fight. Night Sorrow led people to destroy the City Lord's mansion and loot the resources. Tai Shu and Lu Qin directly stored them in the storage. Night Sorrow followed this strategy to destroy 3 cities. After destroying 3 cities, Jun Xuanji and the others received news that when Profound Mysteries Imperial City was destroyed, someone flew to the mysterious Heaven Sword sect and teleported to 3 Sun City to report. Jun Xuanji smashed the tea table in the tent with a palm. Shang Luo sighed. He can tear space and travel through it. All of our seals are useless. Jun Xuanji said, right now, we can't defend. We can only attack to stop the attack. We can only pull the battlefront back to the 9 regions world. Otherwise, we won't be able to fight this war. Then everyone in the tent fell into contemplation. Xian Wenxiu said, now, we can either use all our strength to break the formation or use all our strength to stop them. However, the possibility of stopping them is very low. The final outcome of the discussion was to attack the spatial passageway again. Chapter 855. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing led their people to guard the formation. When they saw the enemy coming to break the formation, the couple led their people to kill the enemy. Yi Wuyo didn't let them come out of the formation. They hid inside the formation and attacked the Profound Mysteries Realm's formation masters. After arranging the others, Yi Wuyo began to kill the enemy with Yu Qing's help. One of them was skilled in the Earth spatial bind, while the other was skilled in the spatial slaughter technique. Any formation master targeted by Yu Qing would be instantly killed by Yi Wuyo. The other paragons couldn't protect them even if they wanted to. Formation masters didn't have very high cultivation bases. After all, they spent most of their energy on studying formations. Their cultivation base increased slowly. There were many paragons in the profound mysteries realm, but they didn't dare to enter the formation to fight. They also couldn't break the formation from outside. This was the power of entropic formation masters. After attacking for more than an hour without any effect, someone came to report that 2 more cities in the profound mysteries realm had been captured. Jun Xuanji waved his hand helplessly. Grand Elder, we can't continue like this. We have to think of other methods. Xian Wenxiu nodded. He instantly aged a lot. He knew that they had lost this war. No blockade or defense was effective against Night Sorrow. It could be said that they had lost this war in the hands of Night Sorrow alone. After destroying the 4 cities, Night Sorrow put everyone into the space-time pagoda and then teleported. However, there was no battle. He then teleported to another city and took down a courtyard outside the city. Only then did he let everyone out to rest. Night Sorrow, if this continues, the battle won't last long, the Grand Elder said as he brewed tea. What do you mean? Night Sorrow asked. 4 cities are destroyed in a day. How many cities do they have? It won't be long before they negotiate, Lu Qin said before the Grand Elder could speak. If they want to negotiate, then let them. I haven't killed enough, Yun Tianlong said. They were the ones who started the war. We can't just start a war because they want to. I have to fight until the profound mysteries realm is no longer a threat to the 9 regions world, Night Sorrow said. The Grand Elder and the others nodded. Now that Night Sorrow had spoken, they didn't need to discuss it. They would just follow his orders. After resting for a day, Night Sorrow led everyone to continue their slaughter, and they took down another 4 cities. Every time before a city was destroyed, Night Sorrow would first enter the city to scout before attacking. Therefore, Jun Xuanji and the others couldn't stop them. Even if they managed to block them, it would be a tough battle, and they wouldn't be able to do much to the 9 zones' forces. Night Sorrow had brought the strongest group of people below the saint level in the 9 zones world, and they were the toughest fist of the 9 zones world. 3 days later, the profound mysteries realm couldn't hold on any longer. All the higher-ups gathered to discuss whether or not they should negotiate with the 9 zones world. If this continued, the profound mysteries realm would be completely destroyed. All the mid-level cultivators would be slaughtered, and their cities would be destroyed. The profound mysteries realm's civilization would plummet. Let's negotiate. If we can't keep Night Sorrow in check, we won't be able to win the war. Even if a saint attacks, they won't be able to succeed before the heavenly tribulation descends. His body's cultivation is too powerful, said Xian Wenxiu. The price of negotiating will be very high. They have the advantage, and if we can't satisfy them, the war won't stop, said Jun Xuanji. But there's nothing we can do about that. If we can't enter the spatial channel, the flames of war will continue to linger in the profound mysteries realm. We can only lose this war, said Shang Luo. Then I'll go talk to them. Jun Xuanji didn't want to negotiate. After all, this was a devastating blow to his reputation and the Jun family. Jun Xuanji teleported to the entrance of the spatial channel and directly requested to see Night Sorrow. Let's not beat around the bush. You clearly know that Night Sorrow isn't here, said Yi Wuyo as he walked out of the formation. I know. I'm representing the profound mysteries realm to negotiate with him. We should at least see him, said Jun Xuanji. Peace talks? You've lost, so you don't have the qualifications to talk about peace talks. Wait until you know your place. Yi Wuyo glanced at Jun Xuanji before directly entering the formation, ignoring him. Right now, the 9 regions world had the absolute advantage, and they had the absolute initiative. Jun Xuanji stood in front of the formation, looking at the spatial channel. He was filled with resentment because the profound mysteries realm had a chance to gain the upper hand. It was just that some people had failed to live up to expectations and had been hindered by the 9 zones world in the 3 origin region. As a result, they had been forced into a passive position. We'll do as you say. Our profound mysteries realm has lost. What conditions do you want before you can stop attacking and retreat? Jun Xuanji shouted into the formation. Then you can wait, replied Yi Wuyo. Yi Wuyo returned to the sage tent and reported to Long Xiansheng and the others. We can't let Night Sorrow return for now. If they set up an ambush on his way back, it'll be troublesome. They've lost, so they want us to make demands. We can make our demands first. The Profound Mysteries realm has to submit to the Nine Zones world. We can't be disloyal to the Nine Zones world, said Long Xianxing. Then I'll go talk to him, said Yi Wuyo. Our sages can come out to negotiate. That won't count as interfering in the war. Have them wait in front of the formation, said Long Xianxing. Then Yi Wuyo expressed the Nine Zones world's intentions. Jun Xuanji nodded and called over the Profound Mysteries realm sages. The two sides faced each other outside the formation and began negotiating. Submit? That's impossible. If you want compensation, our Profound Mysteries realm can pay it. Even if we have to pay a huge price, we'll accept it, said Xian Wenxiu. Do you understand that you've lost? With the Sage contract, the Profound Mysteries realm isn't a match for anyone below the Saint realm. Even if you ignore the Sage contract and attack, can you kill Night Sorrow before the laws kill you? Said Long Xianxing. You might have won, but you can't go so far as to submit, said Shang Luo. Why did you attack the Nine Zones world? Isn't it to conquer the Nine Zones world? You might not be able to do it, but we can, said Tianming Sheng. Chapter 4, Part 57. You don't force us to choose death over dishonor. A saint stepped forward and said, Then you can die in glory. We just want to deal with the problem of two zones in one go. If you don't submit, then we'll destroy you. Let's go. Long Xianxing glanced at the Profound Mysteries realm's people before returning to the formation. Xuanji, try and see if you can stop their attacks, said Xian Wenxiu to Jun Xuanji. He didn't have any other ideas. Jun Xuanji nodded and left. Right now, she was hoping to stop Night Sorrow and the others. If Night Sorrow and the others didn't run, then she could fight to the death. But the chances of that happening were slim. Chapter 856. Following that, 3 more days of city-destroying battles passed. That's not right. According to this situation, the Profound Mysteries realm shouldn't be stubbornly holding on. They should be negotiating, Lu Qin said during another break. We don't care about that. We'll just kill them. If something really happens, the spatial passageway will notify us and we'll crush our messaging crystals, said the Grand Elder. It's still not painful. They'll naturally submit after the pain, said Yun Tianlong. Night Sorrow nodded. Everyone knew that. If they wanted the Profound Mysteries realm to submit, they had to beat them until they couldn't bear it. After everyone rested, Night Sorrow continued the city-destroying battles. It wasn't just the cities that were destroyed. Some sects and clans' territories were also attacked. The Profound Mysteries realm held on for 4 days. More than 10 cities were destroyed, and several sects were destroyed. Jun Xuanji's people didn't even see Night Sorrow's shadow. Accept the conditions. We have to accept any conditions, Xian Wenxiu sighed in the newly renovated City Lord's mansion. Grand Elder, if we accept the surrender, our Profound Mysteries realm will become a subsidiary, said Jun Xuanji. After the Sage contract is signed, all of us sages will become decorations. You half-sages and invincible sovereigns won't be able to withstand their attacks, said Xian Wenxiu. Our half-sages and invincible sovereigns haven't lost yet. We haven't lost this war, said Jun Xuanji, somewhat unconvinced. If we haven't lost, they'll destroy the foundation of our Profound Mysteries realm first. They'll slaughter all the cities and mid-level cultivators and take away all our resources. Does the Profound Mysteries realm still have a future? What about the low-level cultivators? What about the future? Also, they don't want to fight us head-on. Once they destroy our foundation, they'll naturally deal with you half-sages and invincible sovereigns. Don't hold on. You're weaker than them. You won't be able to withstand it, said Xian Wenxiu. Hearing Xian Wenxiu's words, the other saints and invincible venerables nodded. They all had families and sections. If this continued, the forces behind them would be destroyed and uprooted. Saint Shang, what do you think? Xian Wenxiu looked at Shang Luo. What's done is done. If we fight head-on, our Profound Mysteries realm will be the ones to suffer. In reality, we were the ones who lost the battle and surrendered. We wanted to fight, so we will naturally bear the consequences of surrendering. I will give the profound mysteries realm an explanation, said Shang Luo. I think so too. Then it's decided. Xuanji, as your senior, I have something to say to you, Xian Wenxiu said as he looked at Jun Xuanji. Grand Elder Xian, please speak. Xuanji will definitely do as you say. Jun Xuanji's eyes darkened. Because defeat and submission were already a foregone conclusion, her insistence was useless. Xian Wenxiu looked at Jun Xuanji and said, I know that you have ideals and ambitions in your heart. The failure of this war is not because of you. The revival of the Profound Pavilion will need you. The revival of the Jun family will need you, and the Profound Mysteries realm will need you. So, the hatred in your heart is meaningless. Grand Elder, are you telling me to endure this humiliation to survive? If the Profound Mysteries realm surrenders, then I can only commit suicide as an apology, said Jun Xuanji. It's easy to die foolishly, but it's hard to stay alive. If we don't have half-saints and invincible sovereigns to help us govern the Profound Mysteries realm, then there's no need to talk. They can just kill us to the end. Moreover, as a person, you have to accept your fate and admit defeat. If you're not a match for others, then you have to face yourself. A loss is a loss. After surrendering, the future of the Profound Mysteries realm will still depend on us. Only if we're valuable will they value the Profound Mysteries realm, said Xian Wenxiu. Saint Xian is right. If we lose, they won't allow us to live. They'll definitely deal with the big threat. Both Saint Xian and I will accept this. The future of the Profound Mysteries realm will depend on you. It's hard for people to admit defeat, but a loss is a loss, said Shang Luo. We won't let you live, said Jun Xuanji as she stood up. Although she operated on the Tao of Might, she still respected Xian Wenxiu and Shang Luo. You're the commander of the 9 realms. You'll let the other side's peak saints live. That should be the first condition of surrendering. In addition, you'll also need to swear a heavenly Tao oath to the half-saints and invincible sovereigns. If you can break through to the 8th stage in the future, you'll be able to ignore the restrictions of the origin laws of ordinary worlds. Remember, as long as you're alive, you'll have a chance to turn things around, said Xian Wenxiu. Grand Elder Xian, Saint Shang, is this the result of our war? Asked Jun Xuanji somewhat emotionally. If we don't fight, we won't have a place to retreat. When the great calamity comes once every 10,000 years, we saints will still die. This time, we saints were selfish. We only started this war because we wanted a chance at survival. But now, we've brought danger to the Profound Mysteries realm. We accept this, said Xian Wenxiu. Jun Xuanji sighed. She understood that things had already come to this and no one could change it. Even Xian Wenxiu and Shang Luo had made up their minds to die. The others could only follow the path of surrendering. Remember, live to fight for a chance for the people of the Profound Mysteries realm, even if it's just a chance for them to live a better life. Let's go. Shang Luo stood up and walked towards the teleportation formation. As a saint who had cultivated for countless years, his mind was incomparably firm. After making his decision, he was already indifferent to life and death. When they arrived in front of the teleportation formation, Xian Wenxiu and the others once again requested to meet. You've made your decision? Asked Long Xianxing. Yes, we accept our defeat. We agree to your request. Let's stop fighting. Xian Wenxiu nodded. Then you won't ambush us, right? Asked Long Xianxing. We admit defeat. Even if we lose, we won't lose face. We won't do anything without a reason, said Xian Wenxiu. Long Xianxing nodded and had Yi Wuyo crush Night Sorrow's messaging crystal. Night Sorrow, who was about to continue massacring the city, was startled. He returned to the space-time treasure pagoda and reported that his messaging crystal had broken. It seems there's a result. They should have started negotiating, said the Grand Elder. I wonder what the result of the negotiation is, said Lu Qin. Q on Z-Net on EP Festival. Since they crushed my messaging crystal, there must be news. We have to return. If we're not satisfied with the result, then we'll continue killing. Night Sorrow thought for a moment. He knew that no matter what the situation was, he had to return. After leaving the space-time treasure pagoda, Night Sorrow directly entered the city and began to teleport. After 2 teleportations, Night Sorrow arrived at 3 Sun City. After passing through the 3 Sun Mountain Ranges blockade, Night Sorrow flew towards the teleportation formation. He was still 200 kilometers away from the spatial passageway. To be safe, Night Sorrow used spatial rend and traveled through the spatial turbulence until he reached the edge of the array outside the spatial passageway. Chapter 857. He's the commander of the 9 regions. As for accepting your defeat, we still need to discuss it. Long Xianxing said, I understand. We'll wait here. Xian Wenxiu nodded. His expression had calmed down. Men, set up a tent for the people of the Profound Mysteries realm to rest. Long Xianxing ordered the high-level venerables behind him. Night Sorrow followed Long Xianxing and the others to the command tent at the entrance of the spatial tunnel. Night Sorrow transferred everyone out of the pagoda of time and space. Long Xianxing said that the attitude of the Profound Mysteries realm was not to negotiate. They would accept any request from the 9 regions world. First, we have to be bound by the heavenly Tao. We have to become a subordinate of the 9 regions world. The rest is easier to discuss. Night Sorrow said, you're right. The saints and venerables have to swear an oath to not harm the 9 regions world. They have to listen to the orders of the 9 regions world. Long Xianxing said, that way, we'll have an extra helping hand in the upcoming massacre, Yishan said after a moment's thought. I feel like I'm raising a tiger. Nan Qianxing said, with the heavenly Tao oath, there's nothing to be afraid of. Whether or not the Profound Mysteries realm can completely submit will depend on our governance. If we can't govern well and win the hearts of the people, we can only say that we're not capable. Night Sorrow smiled. Then you can just talk as you see fit. Xie Lanjun said, Q is the only one. W is the only one. W is the only one. W is the only one. I'll talk as I see fit. Night Sorrow looked at the group of saints in surprise. Of course, you're the commander of the 9 regions now. Naturally, you can make the decisions. We're just helping you fill in the gaps. The 9 regions need to establish a commander's residence to face the dangers of the netherworld. Long Xianxing said, all right, I'll talk as I see fit. If there's anything wrong, you can all add in. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. After leaving the formation, Night Sorrow saw a large tent. However, the people of the Profound Mysteries realm were waiting outside. Everyone please. Night Sorrow entered the tent first and sat down in the middle of the left side. Long Xianxing and the other saints sat beside Night Sorrow. Some of the 9 regions sovereigns could only stand and listen. Xian Wenxiu and the others entered the large tent and stood in front of Night Sorrow and the others. They did not sit down, because their positions were not equal. Have a seat. Let's talk about it when we're fighting. Let's sit down and talk about it calmly. It's best if we can settle things peacefully. Night Sorrow gestured for them to sit down. Xian Wenxiu cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow and the others and sat down. At this time, he couldn't help but admire Night Sorrow's magnanimity. If it was Jun Xuanji, he definitely wouldn't have such magnanimity. This war was started by our Profound Mysteries realm. It's our fault. We're willing to bear all the consequences, Xian Wenxiu said. Sit down and talk. There's no need to find out who's right and who's wrong. The main thing is to solve the problem. Actually, by blocking the spatial channel, our 9 regions world can actually end the war. However, I feel that it's best to solve the future of the 2 worlds in one go. In other words, I don't want to have another war, Night Sorrow said. I can understand. Xian Wenxiu nodded. I've never done anything that's morally wrong. If we stop the war halfway, then the slaughter I cause will be morally wrong. If we can solve the problem of the 2 worlds in one go, then that's morally right. Naturally, I hope to be morally right. Night Sorrow repeated Long Xuanxing's words. Xian Wenxiu and Shang Luo nodded. First, let's talk about my attitude. First, I can't let the Profound Mysteries realm become a threat to the 9 regions world. Absolutely not. Don't say that I'm selfish. After all, I'm from the Nine Regions world, said Night Sorrow. That's fine. As long as the Nine Regions world can stop the war, as long as the Nine Regions world treats the creatures of the Profound Mysteries realm well, our Profound Mysteries realm's saints will settle things on their own. We won't be a threat, said Shang Luo. What's the point of settling things on their own? If you feel that you're in the wrong and that you've let down the creatures of the Profound Mysteries realm, then go and make up for it, said Night Sorrow. You're allowing our Profound Mysteries realm's saints to live? Jun Xuanji directly stood up. Why not? I just said that as long as the Profound Mysteries realm doesn't become a threat to the Nine Regions world, some things can be resolved. Don't be so petty, Yishang said as he glanced at Jun Xuanji. Please continue, said Xian Wenxiu. Then let's talk about our Nine Regions world's request. In truth, this is also my idea. The Profound Mysteries realm's saints and sovereigns need to swear an oath to the heavenly Tao that they won't harm the Nine Regions world. When the Nine Regions world needs them, they'll fight for the Nine Regions world. Of course, there won't be a problem of cannon fodder. They'll fight side by side. That's my promise. When the Profound Mysteries realm is in danger, the Nine Regions world will also do its best to help, said Night Sorrow. That's not a problem, said Xian Wenxiu. To put it bluntly, I want to form an alliance. However, with the Nine Regions world as the main force, we'll also send people to govern the Profound Mysteries realm. Don't worry, we'll also implement a rule of virtue. We can keep the resources from this war to develop the Profound Mysteries realm, said Night Sorrow. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Xian Wenxiu and Shang Luo stood up and cupped their hands toward Night Sorrow. They hadn't expected Night Sorrow's attitude and conditions. They also hadn't expected Night Sorrow to be so magnanimous. I've already said what should be tolerated. However, the key points are the oath to the heavenly Tao and obeying orders. These 2 points can't be reduced in the slightest, said Night Sorrow. If we swear an oath to the heavenly Tao and obey orders, then we can't just be ordered around by someone from the Nine Regions world, said Jun Xuanji. Night Sorrow turned to look at Long Xianxing and the others. I've said all that should be said. Seniors, please make the final decision. As for how the Nine Regions command will be issued, that's up to you. You said it very well just now. If a person has a heart, he has virtue, and if he has virtue, he has a heart. Only then will the relationship between the Profound Mysteries realm and the Nine Regions world be stable. As for how the Profound Mysteries realm will issue the Nine Regions command, I won't hide it from you. It's a chaotic world right now, and the Nine Regions world might be facing a 10,000-year crisis. So, we've established a commander's residence, and the commander is Night Sorrow. For the Profound Mysteries realm, only the commander's residence's orders are effective, said Long Xianxing. The 10,000-year crisis is the same for our Profound Mysteries realm. This war is actually for us to find a place to settle down. Xian Wenxiu looked at Long Xianxing in surprise. Long Xianxing was also stunned. So the situation is about the same. I don't know if you understand my explanation. If you do, then we'll set up the commander's residence and stabilize the Profound Mysteries realm. Understood. Then let's start with the Heavenly Tao Oath. Xian Wenxiu was very surprised by the current situation, but he naturally could accept it. Chapter 858. Originally, Xian Wenxiu, Shang Luo, and the other saints had thought that the Nine Regions world wouldn't let them live because they were all peak cultivators and could be considered a potential threat. But now, the Nine Regions world didn't make things too difficult for them. It could be said that the conditions weren't too difficult to accept. Following this, all the saints and sovereigns of the Profound Mysteries realm swore a heavenly Tao oath to not betray or harm the Nine Regions world. All right, let's arrange things. Night Sorrow, you're in charge, said Long Xianxing. There's no need for me to do that, said Night Sorrow with a smile. Of course there's a need. You can give the orders, said Xiaolan Jun with a smile. Night Sorrow looked around and thought for a moment before nodding. City Lord Grand Uncle will be in charge of the Profound Mysteries realm. City Lord Lu Qin and Monarch Yun will work together. Jun Xuanji, you'll assist. The Grand Uncles, Lu Qin and Yun Tianlong cupped their hands. Jun Xuanji also bowed. The issue of resources is that the 9 regions world has used up some resources in this war, but it's not a big problem. After we deal with the Western Nether region, we'll use the remaining resources to stabilize and recover the Profound Mysteries realm, said Night Sorrow. Understood. Grand Uncles nodded. There's one more thing. Many people in the Profound Mysteries realm might be hostile to the 9 regions world. In order to avoid unnecessary wars and losses, all venerables who have reached the peak of the 5th stage must be recorded. If they don't obey, kill them on the spot. It's good for both sides to get rid of the small hidden dangers. Yi Shan gave another order. I'll go back and arrange that. Stability is necessary, said Xian Wenxiu. Other than that, there's also the matter of communication between the two sides. Currently, the trend is towards cooperation, so there's no need for both sides to reject each other. The forces of the 9 regions world can develop in the Profound Mysteries realm, and the forces of the Profound Mysteries realm can also develop branches and sects in the 9 regions world. This way, their strength can recover and grow faster, Night Sorrow concluded after some thought. Everyone nodded. Night Sorrow's plan was very comprehensive. It could be said that his development strategy was correct. Then let's talk about the 9 regions commander's manner. Actually, it should be the 2 commanders' manners. It's related to maintaining order, said Xiaolonjun. 2 hours later, the commander's manner was completed. And Night Sorrow. But Yi and Grand Uncles. Grand Uncles, but Yi had declined. He wanted to break. Was. Grand was. Grand Elder. Elder. And Grand Elderess. Grand. The S set. 2. T. S. It's meaningless. We can't really fight in the future, Xiaolonjun said. Grand Elder Xie, you're talking about me. Grand Sage Xian told me that people have to admit defeat. Since I've lost, I'll accept it. I won't have any hatred, Jun Xuanji said. That's for the best. Let's do that, Long Xianxing said. After telling Yi Chen that he had something to do, he informed Yi Chen. Then he led his men back to the city in the sky. Drinking tea, Night Sorrow let out a sigh of relief. The war is over. We can relax a bit. However, we still have to prepare for war. After the 9-domain world and Profound Mysteries realm stabilize, we'll take down the Supreme River Space and solve the problem of the Netherworld. That's a hidden danger. We have to solve it, Xiaolonjun, who followed Night Sorrow to Sky City, said. In the following days, Night Sorrow stayed in Sky City and cultivated steadily. However, the others in the 9-domain world and Profound Mysteries realm were extremely busy. The 9-domain commander's manor was set up in the Grand Clarity domain. The current Qingtian domain was not as strong as before. The Grand Clarity domain was currently the strongest domain. Of course, the Eastern Shen domain was also very strong, but its location was not convenient. Night Sorrow did not care about anything, but the other 2 vice commanders and elders were extremely busy. They constantly gave out orders. No one said that Night Sorrow had nothing to do. This was because these problems of construction and stability were small matters. When it came to big matters, Night Sorrow could handle it. Every day, apart from cultivating, Night Sorrow would go to the God-slaying squad's base to guide them in their cultivation. He would also give pointers to Yin Yanxiao. Tianyu and Yi Mei's cultivation increased rapidly, showing their extraordinary talent. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. Night Sorrow's myriad Dao Tome was not far from the peak of the 7th tier. The spiritual strength in his spirit sea was also growing more and more condensed. He was also very close to condensing a divine bead. The God-slaying squad now had a few more venerables. Under the pressure of Gao Chang and the other 2 venerables, Ma Zhuang and the others had also smoothly reached the 5th rank. In other words, the God-slaying squad no longer had any members below the 5th rank. On this day, Night Sorrow was drinking tea with Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, Aoi, and Xue Shi when Xiaolonjun and Sky Underworld Sage came. This is your medallion. Xiaolonjun handed Night Sorrow a medallion made of violet gold crystal. What medallion is this? Night Sorrow took it and looked at it. The Commander's Medallion of the Commanding and Executing Realms. It's one of a kind, said Sky Underworld Sage with a smile. He had come to see how Guan Yi and Qin Jin were cultivating, as well as to see how Night Sorrow was doing. All right, I'll take it. Night Sorrow put the medallion into his spatial ring. Xie Lanjun then told Night Sorrow that the Commander's mansion had officially begun operations. They had also established the Commander's Iron Guard, which was made up of the various regions' elites. Is the Profound Mysteries realm doing well? Is there any resistance or rebellion? Asked Night Sorrow as he poured tea for Xie Lanjun and Sky Underworld Sage. Yuj Kulzi, no. Some of the 9 regions' powers are developing in the Profound Mysteries realm, and they've given many people a chance. They can only be grateful, said Xie Lanjun. We're encouraging the various large powers to enter the Profound Mysteries realm. Assimilation of spiritual civilization is the most basic method of governance. Let our Night Moon dynasty go as well, said Night Sorrow. We've already arranged for that. We've already set up a few branches, said Yu Qing with a smile. No one told me, Yi Shan said with a smile. If it's a small matter, no one will tell you. It's not like there's anything big right now, said Aoi. I have to say that Jun Xuanji really is a genius. He's very good at governing and managing. If it weren't for the fact that some people from the Profound Mysteries realm wanted to conquer the Western Nether region, we wouldn't have been able to fight this war, said Xie Lanjun. Night Sorrow nodded. He understood that Jun Xuanji was undoubtedly talented to be able to lead the Profound Mysteries realm. After sending off Xie Lanjun and the others, Night Sorrow took out the 1000 derivation killing formation and 1000 derivation illusory formations formation diagrams and began studying them. He planned on going to the Heaven Ceiling Palace to take a look when he had time. Chapter 859. The 1000 derivation killing formation and the 1000 derivation illusory formation were the achievements of the Clear Sky Saint King after studying the formations of his predecessors. Together with his own knowledge, they were very powerful and complicated. Yi Shan had already studied them for some time, but he could only understand a little. After resting for a few days, Night Sorrow left Sky City and teleported to the Western Nether region. The Western Nether region had been attacked by the flames of war, but because they had retreated early, there was no battlefield here, so the losses were not serious. They had already recovered with the full support of the 9 regions. Next, Night Sorrow teleported to the spatial channel. There were 2 palaces at the spatial channel, and they were filled with patrol members. When they saw Night Sorrow, they all bowed. Nodding, Night Sorrow passed through the spatial channel. Chapter O, Section R, FD, CF. It was the same for the Profound Mysteries realm. There were also 2 palaces at the spatial channel, and the guards were led by Tianji Tower's Yao Yang. Greetings, young master. Yao Yang cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow. Senior is too courteous. I'll have to trouble you here. Night Sorrow returned Yao Yang's greeting. Next, Night Sorrow teleported to 3 Sun City, and then to a few other cities to take a look before teleporting to the Profound Level Imperial City. The guards of the Profound Mysteries Imperial City's teleportation formations surprised Night Sorrow. They were Night Moon's people, and the leader was Wind King Yi Lingfeng. When Night Moon's people saw Night Sorrow, they all bowed. It's a special time, so everyone has to work hard. Nodding, Night Sorrow walked on the streets of Profound Mysteries Imperial City, looking at the reconstruction situation. Yi Lingfeng followed behind Night Sorrow. At this time, the reconstruction of Profound Mysteries Imperial City had already reached a certain scale. Night Sorrow knew that without any interference, the construction of a city would be very fast. It's really rare to see you here, Commander. Lu Qin and Jun Xuanji, who were patrolling the streets, saw Night Sorrow. I'm just taking a casual stroll. This place is too chaotic, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow, who was wearing a simple white robe, walked on the street. When others saw him, they would think that he was the son of a rich family. No one would associate Night Sorrow with the commander of 2 worlds. Now you know how troublesome it is. If you had been gentler back then, the reconstruction wouldn't have been so troublesome, Jun Xuanji said as he looked at Night Sorrow. What did you say? Be polite to our young master. Yi Lingfeng, who was standing behind Night Sorrow, stepped forward. It's nothing. Uncle Lingfeng, you don't have to mind this. Night Sorrow extended his hand to stop Yi Lingfeng. Elder Jun, I respect you. In fact, I respect everyone in the profound mysteries realm. But our young master isn't just the pride of the 9 regions world. He's also Night Moon's faith. We can't tolerate others mocking him, said Yi Lingfeng. Jun Xuanji looked apologetically at Night Sorrow. After interacting with the people of the 9 regions world, he knew that there were some bottom lines that couldn't be touched. In front of the people of Night Moon, Night Sorrow was his reverse scale. It's nothing. Uncle Lingfeng, you can go ahead. I'll go take a look at the City Lord's mansion. Night Sorrow nodded to Yi Lingfeng. Yi Lingfeng cupped his hands at Night Sorrow and left to continue guarding the teleportation formation. Then, Jun Xuanji and Lu Qin led Night Sorrow to the City Lord's mansion. Inside the City Lord's mansion, Shen Wenxiu and granduncles were talking about the situation in the profound mysteries realm. Seeing that Night Sorrow had arrived, granduncles and Shen Wenxiu cupped their hands at Night Sorrow. Saint Shen is too courteous. Martial uncle granduncles, you've worked hard. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and sat down. Why did you want to come take a look? Asked granduncles as he brewed tea. I've been cultivating for a while, so I came out to relax. I also wanted to see martial uncle granduncles, said Night Sorrow. Don't worry about this. Saint Shen and Saint Shang are very supportive. Elder Jun is also very capable. There won't be any problems with rebuilding the profound mysteries realm, said granduncles. I was just casually walking around. I found that the war has greatly damaged the profound mysteries realm. The 9 regions world's major powers want to recruit disciples. They should lower their bottom line and give some people more opportunities, said Night Sorrow. Okay, I'll notify them later. Granduncles took out a pen and wrote it down. The war has caused some people to lose their homes. This is my fault. Here are some spirit stones. Martial uncle granduncles, take them and see how you can help them. Night Sorrow took out a spatial ring and handed it to granduncles. Commander, there won't be any problems with rebuilding the profound mysteries realm. You don't need to provide these resources, said granduncles. How about this? Let's build a cultivator palace and take in some children from the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries realm who lack people to take care of them. Night Sorrow placed the spatial ring on the table. That's a good decision. I'll make arrangements for this. Lu Qin nodded. Night Sorrow nodded. Following this, he walked around the various cities with Lu Qin and Jun Xuanji. My heart hurts. I hope there won't be any more wars in the future. I'm going back. Night Sorrow was very emotional. Xuanji, I don't want anyone to hate Night Sorrow, Lu Qin said to Jun Xuanji after watching Night Sorrow leave. Jun Xuanji nodded. He knew what could be done and what could not be done. They could not do anything to harm Night Sorrow. Otherwise, the people of the 9 regions world would not accept it and would retaliate. At that time, who knew who would be the unlucky one? Night Sorrow walked around the profound mysteries realm before returning to the 9 regions world. When he arrived at the Qingtian region, Night Sorrow did not go to the Tianji Tower. Instead, he went directly to Vast Sea City. When he arrived at the border of the Realm Sea, he took Xue Shi out of the Pagoda of Time. Following this, they took a flying ship and flew towards the island in the Realm Sea. It seems that the 9 regions world is stable this time. Now that we've started the war with the Nether world, we've gained some strength, Xue Shi said. I have to quickly become a saint. This is very important. I have to refine the Void Fate Pearl as soon as possible. At that time, I'll be able to fuse the Void Fiendish space with the Void Fate Pearl. I'll be able to bring the Void Fiendish space to the shattered region of the 9 regions world and completely suppress it. I'll be able to fuse the Void Fiendish space with the 9 regions world, Night Sorrow said. You can't rush this. However, condensing your soul power into a core is a necessary step to become a saint, Xue Shi said. Night Sorrow knew that condensing a God Pearl was not too far away. His soul power had already reached the limit of liquid state and could condense a God Pearl at any time. After arriving at the island in the Realm Sea, Night Sorrow found that the spatial storms had weakened a lot. After putting Shi into the Pagoda of Time, Night Sorrow headed towards Vast Sky City. The current Night Sorrow's strength was vastly different from when he had been a 4th-level Venerate. It took him more than an hour to reach Clear Sky City after only resting once. Looking at the dilapidated Vast Sky City, Night Sorrow felt a little emotional. He had just experienced a war and the 9 regions world had won. Vast Sky City's dilapidated state told him of the humiliation of defeat. Night Sorrow flew for a while and found that it was different from before. There was a defensive formation between the spatial storms and the 9 regions origin shield. Looking at it, Night Sorrow found that the formations were the 1000 derivation illusory formation and the 1000 derivation killing formation. Chapter 860. The UD network is free of charge for 4 years. It was brimming with vitality. Yi Shang felt as if the 9-realm origin source barrier was full of vitality. Night Sorrow passed through the 9 regions essence barrier and headed for the Heaven Sealing Palace. Night Sorrow had just arrived in front of the Heaven Sealing Palace when the 9 regions essence energy appeared. "You're here." Night Sorrow nodded at the 9 regions essence energy. The 9 regions essence energy just went through a war with the profound mysteries realm. After the war ended, I came to take a look. I know you've won because I've also gained some benefits. I've also received some blessings from the Heavenly Tao. Now that I see you, I know that you've contributed greatly in this battle. The 9 realms origin energy communicated with Night Sorrow. You can even know that? Night Sorrow was a bit puzzled. Your karmic energy is very deep. You already have 3 feet of karmic light. It should be said that you played a huge role in this war, said the 9 regions essence energy. Night Sorrow was also very puzzled. He didn't feel that way himself. Your soul avatar should be able to reach greater mastery in a bit more time. At that time, you don't need to come over. You can talk to the main body if you need anything, said the 9 regions essence energy. I came to see if this place is safe. The 9 regions essence barrier can't have any problems, said Night Sorrow. There are some problems. There are spatial soul-devouring beasts below Clear Sky City. If they get close, they will devour the 9 regions essence energy. That's one of their trump cards against our 9 regions world, said the 9 regions essence energy to Night Sorrow. Then what do you need me to do? Asked Night Sorrow. Set up a formation. Go to the bottom of Clear Sky City and set up a formation to prevent the spatial soul-devouring beasts from attacking Clear Sky City, said the 9 regions essence energy to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. I'll go as soon as I can. After conversing with the 9 regions essence energy for a while, Night Sorrow left Clear Sky City and flew toward the island in the Realm Sea. After arriving at the island in the Realm Sea, Night Sorrow continued flying towards Vast Sea City. After arriving at the Grand Clarity Domain, Night Sorrow went directly to the most majestic palace in the Grand Clarity Domain. That was the most respected place in the 9-domain world, the commander's residence. Upon seeing Night Sorrow's arrival, the guards in front of the hall bowed in greeting. They had all participated in the battle against the profound mysteries realm, so they recognized Night Sorrow. When they reached the main hall, Yi Shang saw Yun Tianlong, who was overseeing this place. Commander, it's rare for you to come. Yun Tianlong greeted him with a smile. In terms of seniority, Yun Tianlong was the elder. However, in terms of strength, there was a big gap between him and Night Sorrow. In terms of status and reputation, the gap was even bigger. There are indeed some matters. Send someone to inform the commander's residence to gather here tomorrow. I have something to say, said Night Sorrow. Yun Tianlong nodded. He knew that something was about to happen. After giving some instructions, Night Sorrow left the commander's residence and returned to Sky City. After cultivating for a day, Night Sorrow returned to the commander's residence. Everyone there was gathered. It could be said that the upper echelons of the 9-domain world and the profound mysteries realm were all present. Night Sorrow walked to the empty main seat and sat down. Today, I've called everyone here because I have a decision. I've decided to conquer the Supreme River Domain. This is related to the stability and future of the 9-domain world. Night Sorrow then explained the reason. Spatial soul-devouring beast? So that's what it's used for. Do you have a plan? Asked Xiaolanjun. This time, we have no choice but to fight. The plan is for us to enter through the spatial channel in the Eastern Profound Domain. There's spatial suppression there, so don't worry. I'll handle it, said Night Sorrow. Then you can arrange the deployment, said Long Xianxing. The reconstruction of the Profound Mysteries realm and the Western Nether region can't be stopped. Every time we fight, it's to ensure that our family and compatriots can live stable lives. That's the foundation. Also, gather more people. In 7 days, I want to see a group that can fight in Eastern Profound City. I want elites, said Night Sorrow. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, all the members of the commander's residence stood up and cupped their fists. After giving the order, Night Sorrow left the commander's residence and returned to Sky City. Since he had given the order, there would naturally be people to carry it out. After returning to the lake, Night Sorrow began to cultivate a spatial crack. After a while, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing arrived. Father, congratulations. Night Sorrow cupped his fists at Yi Wuyo. At this time, Yi Wuyo was already a saint. It's nothing. I was already a quasi-sage a while ago. I just made a breakthrough in my true qi cultivation. It wasn't difficult. But you, on the other hand, saints and sovereigns are two completely different realms, said Yi Wuyo. It won't be too long. There's no need to rush, said Night Sorrow with a smile. All right, I don't have to worry about you here. Is it good to drink? Said Yi Wuyo after looking at Yu Qing. Naturally. Yu Qing nodded. Night Sorrow and his parents drank and chatted. They talked about the upcoming battle. Son, you're going to rise in the war. After the battle with the Profound Mysteries realm, you already have a meter of light of virtue behind your head, said Yi Wuyo. Night Sorrow scratched the back of his head. Father, the 9 regions origin energy also said that I have a light of virtue. Why can't I sense it? If you don't have a special feeling, you won't be able to sense it. But it really does exist. According to the ancient records, people with great virtue have their words enforced. If they say that the river flows in reverse, it will flow in reverse, explained Yi Wuyo to Night Sorrow. Enforced with words? That's amazing. Night Sorrow was a bit surprised. Of course it's amazing. That's called the great sage of virtue. Even if he's a weak scholar, even if he doesn't have any cultivation, as long as he has virtue and the principles of the heavenly Tao, he can enforce his words. But this kind of virtue is very difficult to obtain. You have to contribute to the world and benefit an entire race, said Yi Wuyo. After drinking a jar of wine with his parents, Night Sorrow continued cultivating. He was working very hard, and his true energy was slowly rising. The Myriad Tao Tome had also reached the peak of the 7th tier of the Spirit Refinement realm. Night Sorrow calculated the time and entered the 70th floor of the pagoda. He wanted to reach the 8th tier of the Spirit Refinement realm before he entered the Supreme River space. 2 days in the pagoda was 1 day in the outside world. Night Sorrow raised the Myriad Tao Tome's cultivation base to the 8th tier of the Spirit Refinement realm. Then he used it to strengthen his body. Only then did he reach the 60th floor of the pagoda. Your blood energy is circulating around your body, and your essence energy is soaring. Night Sorrow, I can't describe your body. It should be in a state where no evil can invade you. Xueshi was shocked to see Night Sorrow. Is it that obvious? Asked Night Sorrow. I don't know why, but after returning from the Profound Mysteries realm, I felt a pressure coming from you. Now that your blood energy has stimulated it, it's even stronger, said Xueshi. Chapter 861. G title equals, this chapter is What's the point of this? Honor all the readers. What's the point of this? Okay, I'll listen to your arrangements. Xueshi nodded. Night Sorrow nodded and brought Xueshi out of the space-time pagoda. After exiting the space-time pagoda and getting onto the wooden boat, Xueshi went to make tea. Night Sorrow stretched his body. As he moved his body, explosive sounds came from his body. It wasn't just the sound of bones and joints, but also the sound of blood flowing. It was like pearls falling onto a plate. After drinking a cup of tea, Night Sorrow walked around the martial arts practice field. As Night Sorrow clapped his hands, the members of the god-slaying team gathered. However, no one spoke. They didn't dare to speak because Night Sorrow stood there like a mountain. Everyone is doing well. Liyue, how are the resources? Night Sorrow looked at Nan Liyue and asked. There are no problems. Nan Liyue stood up and bowed. This is my friend Xue Shi, a 6-star saint. She will guide everyone's cultivation in the future. She is definitely someone you can trust. Also, get ready to fight in 3 days. Night Sorrow left the martial arts practice field after giving his instructions. What's going on? Why do I feel so pressured? Xue Fei wiped the sweat off his forehead and said, I don't know. I don't dare to breathe too loudly either. Xue Jian said, This is the aura of a superior. This is the pressure of an expert. If we don't work hard in cultivation, we won't even dare to breathe loudly in front of the captain. Ling Long said, Read novels for free forever. That's right. What kind of people does the captain come into contact with? They are all saints, and there are even peak saints. The saints all carry out the captain's orders. How can they not be powerful? Yun Huang said, Work hard. Your foundations aren't bad. It won't be too difficult for you to achieve success in the future. I will come over every day. If you have any questions about cultivation, you can ask me. Xue Shi said. After returning to the mansion, Night Sorrow and his parents drank tea and chatted. This was the most relaxed time for Night Sorrow. After resting for 2 days, Night Sorrow brought the god-slaying team and his parents to the commander's residence in Grand Clarity region. Hu Xiao, who was guarding the commander's residence, told Night Sorrow that everyone was to gather at Dongxian City. Night Sorrow nodded and brought everyone to Dongxian City via the teleportation array. Not far away from the transportation formation, Dongshuan Square was packed with troops. The troops were orderly, and the realm of Enigma's men were among them as well. Night Sorrow took out a teleportation crystal and cut a clone of it into the teleportation array. Then he looked at Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei nodded and handed Night Sorrow a teleportation crystal clone. It was a clone of Dongxian City's teleportation crystal. Auntie Fei, wait for the teleportation formation's teleportation crystal to light up. Night Sorrow nodded to Wu Lingfei and teleported to Danding City. Then he rushed to the cliff where Taichuan was and set up a teleportation formation there. The underground space of Taichuan Canyon was too small. Even if there were many people, there was no place to set up a teleportation formation. After setting up the teleportation formation, Night Sorrow inserted a clone of Dongxian City's teleportation crystal. A moment later, Long Xianxing and a group of saints arrived. Auntie Fei, arrange for someone to teleport here. I will go down and take a look. Night Sorrow nodded to Wu Lingfei and Long Xianxing and flew down to Taichuan Canyon. In the past, it was very difficult for Night Sorrow to go down. With the improvement of his strength, Night Sorrow only needed a moment to reach the entrance of Taichuan Canyon. At the bottom of the canyon, Night Sorrow saw Hua Yunpeng meditating. Great Elder Hua is here. Night Sorrow nodded to Hua Yunpeng. There is a hidden danger here. I will stay here and cultivate while watching. Do you have something to say? Hua Yunpeng looked at Night Sorrow in shock. He could not see through Night Sorrow's cultivation. Yes, to solve the hidden danger here, we have to completely solve the hidden danger of Taichuan Dimension. Night Sorrow nodded to Hua Yunpeng. Then, Night Sorrow shuttled back and forth in the teleportation formation. He found that he could control the law of nothingness and resist the law of Taichuan Dimension's suppression. Great Elder Hua, please go up and let the people above come down in batches. Night Sorrow said to Hua Yunpeng. Hua Yunpeng nodded and flew up the canyon. A moment later, the saints of the 9 regions arrived at the bottom of the canyon. I will use my law of nothingness to resist the law of Taichuan Dimension's suppression. Everyone will enter through the teleportation formation formed by my law of nothingness. Night Sorrow's body flashed into the teleportation formation. Standing at the bottom of the teleportation formation, Night Sorrow twisted his hands. the law of nothingness rose and opened a teleportation formation. Then, the people from the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries realm entered the teleportation formation through Night Sorrow's law of nothingness. Night Sorrow rested 3 times before the people from the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries realm all passed through the teleportation formation. "Let's rest for a while," Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and sat down cross-legged to recover. After using his law of nothingness to resist the law of Taichuan Dimension's suppression for a long time, Night Sorrow's soul power was greatly depleted. An hour later, Night Sorrow had recovered to his peak state. "Now, let's take the teleportation formation to the storm region where Clear Sky City is. That place is more important. We will start fighting there and then clear the area where Dongxiang City's spatial turbulence is." Night Sorrow explained his plan. "There's a teleportation formation here?" Xie Lanjun looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. "I set it up the last time I came in. I thought it would be useful. It can save us the trouble of traveling a few million miles," Night Sorrow said. "There's no need to say anything. You're ruthless enough. Let's get to work," Sky Underworld Saint said. Then, Night Sorrow led everyone to the area where the spatial storm was. Night Sorrow saw that the spatial turbulence had weakened a lot. He should be able to pass through it. "Next, I will explain the plan. I will be busy here for a while. Everyone will split into a few groups to fight. Xueshi, you know the way. You will bring Long Xianxing, Shang Saint, and a group of people to the spatial turbulence in Dongxiang City. You must kill the 2 high-level nether beasts," Night Sorrow said to Xueshi. "Understood." Xueshi nodded. Long Xianxing and Shang Luo also nodded. Saint Xian and Senior Lan will lead a group of people. Sky Underworld Saint, Grandpa, you will lead a group of people to sweep through the various regions. Safety first. I don't want to see anyone from our camp die. Also, gather here in 3 months. We are going to take down the passageway to the netherworld. Now, come here and draw a map of the Supreme River space. Night Sorrow took out a map and called over an array master to draw the map. Soon, the teams were formed and the maps were obtained. The war will not end in a short time. This is also a training battle for us. We must be steady. Also, everyone, make way for the spatial passageway to the netherworld. Night Sorrow gave another order. Then the teams set off. Each team was led by a peak saint. Night Sorrow made this arrangement because safety was the most important thing. Night Sorrow also left some people behind. True Ocean Saint, Nangan Saint, Jun Xuanji, Ren Tianji, and the members of the God-slaying team stayed behind. Senior True Ocean Saint, take these people and clean up the surroundings. Night Sorrow looked at the center of the spatial turbulence and said to True Ocean Saint. Chapter 862. You're really only in your 20s, Jun Xuanji said to Yishan as he looked at him. After this year, I'll be 22, said Night Sorrow. My 13th brother is still young, said Tianyu. I'm going to cultivate. The rest of you stabilize this place. This is our foundation in Tai River. Andi Fei, you can handle it, said Night Sorrow to Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow wanted to resolve this problem. Cleaning up Tai River's space was just a side benefit. Night Sorrow once more nodded to the God-slaying squad and the 3 women. Then he charged into the spatial storm. As for Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing, they were already in the same group as Yi Linghuan. The spatial storm was still very strong, but Night Sorrow didn't care. He just tempered his cultivation base in the storm. When he needed to recover, he would smash the space-time pagoda into the ground. In any case, the space-time pagoda was underground, so it didn't require a large amount of resources. As he cultivated, Night Sorrow approached the center of the spatial storm. Each time, he would charge a certain distance forward. As Yi Shang cultivated the myriad Tao treasured tome, the effect of refining his soul with his body made Yi Shang's soul power more and more condensed. After advancing for 1 day, Yi Shang had ventured 50 kilometers into the turbulent space streams. The power of the spatial storms grew increasingly strong. However, Yishan felt that this was a better way to hone himself. If he were not in a hurry to head to the central region to check out the situation, Yishan would have chosen to cultivate here. Jun Xuanji was very shocked. She knew just how strong the chaotic space was, but Night Sorrow didn't come out. 2 days later, Night Sorrow saw something special. A huge mountain had appeared. Above the mountain was a crack in the sky. Night Sorrow could sense that his soul avatar was above the mountain. After half a day, Night Sorrow reached the foot of the mountain and began to climb. Climbing the mountain was very tiring and difficult because the mountain was surrounded by chaotic space. Look at Z Chapter T, Z Network C. Fortunately, Night Sorrow had perseverance. After spending a day, Night Sorrow arrived halfway up the mountain. He saw an array formation halfway up the mountain. It was the 1000 derivation Grand Array. The 1000 derivation Great Array was the Clear Sky Saint King's ultimate array formation skill. Night Sorrow had the array diagram in his hands, so it was naturally not a problem for him to enter. He passed through the 1000 derivation Great Array and continued climbing. Because of the existence of the Great Array of 1000 derivations, the majority of the spatial storm was blocked. The spatial turbulence in the upper half of the mountain was weakened to the point that it was almost non-existent, and the spatial soul-devouring beast no longer existed. Without the obstruction of the spatial storms, Night Sorrow was able to climb up much faster. Moments later he reached the sky. It was then that Night Sorrow saw the 9-domain essence shield. After passing through the origin, Night Sorrow saw the energy body of the 9 realms origin energy. If I had known that you could survive down here, I would have directly sent you down here. The 9 realms origin energy clone communicated with Night Sorrow. Am I in Clear Sky City? Asked Night Sorrow. Yes. Clear Sky City's foundation is Clear Sky Mountain. Clear Sky Mountain is suppressing the part of the 9 realms that was pierced through, said the 9 realms origin energy. The 9 realms origin energy hoped that Night Sorrow could set up an array formation around Clear Sky Mountain to suppress the spatial storm's impact on Clear Sky Mountain. At the same time, it could block the spatial soul-devouring beast's threat to the 9 realms origin energy. All right, I'll go take care of it later. Night Sorrow nodded. He took out the 1000 derivation illusory formation and 1000 derivation killing formation diagrams and started studying them. After studying them for 4 hours, Night Sorrow went to Clear Sky Mountain at the bottom of Clear Sky City to survey the terrain. Clear Sky Mountain occupied a huge area. Night Sorrow used 4 days to survey the terrain clearly. Then he began to set up the array formation. The Clear Sky Saint King's array formation was originally very powerful, but because Clear Sky City had appeared, it had become unstable. That was why the 9 realms origin energy felt threatened. Night Sorrow started to sharpen his cultivation and set up the array formation in the spatial turbulence. Setting up an array formation that enveloped Clear Sky Mountain was a huge project. However, Night Sorrow did not mind. He had a lot of time anyway. The only thing he used was the spirit stones to set up the array formation. In the past, Night Sorrow was a little short of spirit stones. However, after obtaining Jun Tianya's storage ring, Night Sorrow's resources were no longer a problem. After a month, Night Sorrow's true Qi cultivation had reached the middle stage of 9th level saint. His myriad Dao treasured canon cultivation had reached the middle stage of 8th level spirit refinement. Most importantly, his soul power had reached a point where it could not be improved. Night Sorrow planned to level up. This was very important to him. Forming a pearl with his soul power was the foundation of becoming a saint. It was also the key to refining the Void Fate Pearl. After drinking a pot of tea in the space-time treasure pagoda, Night Sorrow began to cultivate in seclusion. Soul power was difficult to cultivate, but leveling up was similar to true Qi cultivation. It was not very difficult. The main problem was accumulation. Night Sorrow used 1 day to form the God Pearl. His spirit sea was bright as if there was a sun shining on it. The Void Fate Pearl revolved around the God Pearl. Just as Night Sorrow was about to stop cultivating, something strange happened. The Void Fate Pearl collided with Night Sorrow's God Pearl and fused into one. At this moment, Night Sorrow felt the existence of the Void Fiend space. The Void Fate Pearl recognized its master and the refinement was complete. Yishang knew that the emptiness fate pearl had been truly refined. It truly belonged to him. Night Sorrow even felt that he could enter the Void Fiend space at any time. He knew that when he went out, he could control and refine the Void Fiend space. He could truly work hard to complete the 9-domain world. Then, Yishang tried to activate the Nihility Fate Pearl. The Nihility Fate Pearl emitted a purple Nihility energy and Nihility Law power to protect Yishang's divine sea and body. Night Sorrow was very excited. This was a milestone for his cultivation path. After stabilizing his emotions, Night Sorrow continued to stabilize his cultivation and set up the array. 2 months later, Night Sorrow finished setting up the 1000 derivation array. With the activation of the array, there were no more spatial storms around Hao Tian Mountain. There was no longer any possibility of threatening the 9-domain origin shield. The spatial soul-devouring beast could not even get close, let alone devour the 9-domain origin chi. With the activation of the array, the 9-domain origin chi energy figure appeared in front of Night Sorrow again. Now, I am not in danger. You guys can handle the war matters. At the same time, Night Sorrow also obtained a strand of origin energy from the 9-domain origin chi. Night Sorrow asked the 9-domain origin chi how to refine a world. The 9-domain origin chi told Night Sorrow that this was a time-consuming process. One had to put the controllable origin pearl into the origin world and activate the origin pearl. This way, the origin pearl and the world would become one and be controlled by the controller. Chapter 863. I'm looking forward to your performance. The 9 regions' origin energy nodded to Night Sorrow and left. Its core was the Heaven Sealing Palace. Yishan also planned to go back because it wasn't far from the scheduled meeting time. It would be in the next few days. Passing through the spatial storms wasn't difficult for Night Sorrow. It took him 2 days to reach the meeting place. Night Sorrow had been cultivating. You've been gone for such a long time, Wu Lingfei grumbled to Yishang. Her heart was filled with worry. I've successfully dealt with the hidden danger. Spending some time was worth it. Other than that, my cultivation base has increased a lot, said Night Sorrow. Your cultivation base has increased quite well. How's your spiritual strength? Asked Wu Lingfei, looking at Night Sorrow's mid-9th rank cultivation base. Other people's spirit seas could probe him, but those who understood Night Sorrow didn't dare to probe his spirit sea. My spiritual strength has already condensed into a divine bead, but it's still in the stabilizing stage. Night Sorrow wouldn't hide anything from Wu Lingfei. As for Jun Xuanji, he wasn't afraid of her knowing. Even if she knew, so what? Your spiritual strength has condensed into a divine bead? That's great. Once you control the laws and your spiritual strength condenses into a divine bead, you'll be able to smoothly reach the Saint Realm, said Wu Lingfei excitedly. Chapter 51. There's no rush. How's everyone doing? Asked Night Sorrow. We've already cleared out the nether beasts in the surrounding tens of thousands of miles. However, the other 3 teams still haven't returned, said Jun Xuanji. When they come back, Auntie Fei, crush the message crystal to notify me. I still have some things to do, Yishan said to Wu Lingfei. All right then, go. Wu Lingfei nodded. She knew that unless there was something urgent, Night Sorrow wouldn't leave. Night Sorrow took a transportation formation to the Medicine Valley region. Then he went to the place where he had entered the Void Fiendish space. Sensing the Void Space's location, Night Sorrow cast Space Rend. He tore through space and began to travel through the turbulent flow of space. After traveling for some distance, Night Sorrow saw the Void Space's spatial barrier. Yishang used the spatial rend again to break the barrier of the empty fiendish space. He entered the empty fiendish space and controlled the emptiness fate pearl to leave his body. He controlled the emptiness fate pearl to enter the ground of the empty fiendish space and fuse with it. As the fusion progressed, Night Sorrow felt a sense of familiarity with the void fiend space. After refining the void fiendish space, Yishang returned to the 9-domain world. After walking around, he discovered that he could clearly feel the connection between him and the void fiendish space. He knew that when the Void Fate Pearl and the Void Fiendish space completely merged, he could control the Void Fiendish space. Then Night Sorrow returned to the Void space and rushed towards the place where he had obtained the Void space rend. He felt that there would be spirit stones and crystal stones there. In the past, Night Sorrow would take a long time to get there. At that time, he was only a 3rd Order Martial Saint. Now, he was a 9th Order Martial Saint. 2 hours later, Night Sorrow arrived at the place. Night Sorrow put Shao Kong in his sleeves and let Shao Kong investigate. Soon, Shao Kong found a large amount of spirit stones and crystal stones on the lone mountain that had been blown up by the energy. However, Shao Kong advised Night Sorrow not to dig for them for now. Night Sorrow did not lack spirit stones. If he dug for them, the spirit chi in the void space would decrease. After thinking about it for a moment, Yishang felt that Shao Kong's words made sense. He did not lack crystals or spirit stones. As for the void attribute crystals, Yishang did not need them either. His current attributes were already saturated. Furthermore, with his void fate jewel in the future, he would have no problem replenishing his void attribute. After that, Night Sorrow walked around the void space. This was his territory. After walking around the void space, Night Sorrow felt that the connection between him and the void space was getting closer and closer. Even the resistance of flying had decreased a lot. After returning to 9 Domain World, Night Sorrow felt a lot more at ease. No matter what, there would be no problem in repairing 9 Domain World in the future. Even if the Great Massacre Calamity came early, the people of 9 Domain World would have a place to hide. This void space was his territory. No one else could enter. After that, Night Sorrow entered Taichuan and teleported to the outer region of the spatial storm. Is it done? Did it go smoothly? Wu Lingfei asked. It went smoothly, very smoothly. Senior Long Xianxing, how was your group? Night Sorrow looked at Long Xianxing, Shang Luo, and the others. The results of the battle are not bad. We managed to kill 2 high-level nether beasts in the spatial turbulence near Dongxiang City. They were the 2 nether beasts that attacked our 9 regions world. Afterward, we also managed to kill some of them along the way. Long Xianxing said, the chaotic space ahead is the foundation of Clear Sky City. I've set up a formation there. The chaotic space and the spatial soul-devouring beasts will no longer be able to threaten our 9-domain world and the heaven-sealing palace. Night Sorrow also spoke of his results. That's great. When those 2 groups of people return, you can make the necessary arrangements. Right now, everything seems to be going in a good direction. Long Xianxing said happily. For days later, all the groups returned. They had killed quite a few nether beasts. Some of them had even obtained the inheritances of experts who had died during the Divine Seal War. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow looked at Xiaolonjun. Back then, Clear Sky Holy King's ancestor established the Night Moon Sky, Void Dao Holy King established the Void Dao Sky, and Central Prefecture Holy King established the Central Prefecture Palace. Now, the remnants of the Jiyu family are entrenched in the Central Prefecture Palace. They are the descendants of the Central Prefecture Holy King. Not really. The Central Prefecture Holy King was an ascetic cultivator. He didn't have any descendants. The Central Prefecture Palace is actually a sect. The ancestor of the Jiyu family was an elder of the Central Prefecture Palace. Perhaps he didn't die in battle back then and left the heavenly abode of the Central Prefecture Palace to the Jiyu family, said Xiaolonjun. The Central Prefecture Holy King died in battle for the 9-domain world. He was a wise man. If the Jiyu family is his descendant, it will be difficult for me to deal with them. Since that's the case, let's continue to kill. The Central Prefecture scripture is in my hands. It will be an inherited cultivation technique of the commander's mansion, said Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow had been troubled by a question in his heart. That was the relationship between the Jiyu family and the Central Prefecture Holy King. If the Jiyu family was the descendant of the Central Prefecture Holy King, it would be immoral to kill them. Now that he knew that the relationship between the Jiyu family and the Central Prefecture Holy King wasn't close, he felt more at ease. Even a wise man like the Central Prefecture Holy King died in battle. If the ancestor of the Jiyu family is still alive, he must be a coward. There's no need to be polite to them, said Long Xianxing. I understand. In addition, I have some good news for everyone. I'm already working on the matter of repairing the 9 domain worlds. If we can finish it ahead of time, it will be much easier to resist the massacre, said Yishan. That's great news, said Heavenly Underworld Saint. Chapter 864. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone nodded. No one had any objections. In the last battle, Night Sorrow had displayed his might and prestige. Following that, Night Sorrow led his people to the Netherworld's channel. They slaughtered their way through, killing any nether beasts they saw. Night Sorrow knew that nether beasts were second-tier life forms in the Netherworld. The ones who ruled the Netherworld were the Nether race, and the nether beasts were just battle beasts under their rule. Night Sorrow didn't even have a chance to fight because there were too many saints and paragons. Ordinary battles didn't have anything to do with him. The Supreme River space takes up too much space. We've swept through it, but there are still quite a few nether beasts, said Wu Lingfei, who was by Night Sorrow's side. Don't worry. Once we block the channel from the Netherworld to the Supreme River space, we can spread out the net and slowly clear it out. We don't lack time. Our combat members also need to temper themselves, said Night Sorrow. If that's the case, it shouldn't be a problem. Back then, you said you were already working on repairing the 9 regions world. What's going on? Asked Wu Lingfei to Night Sorrow. I've already refined the Nihility Fate Pearl. This time, I went out to send the Nihility Fate Pearl to the Nihility Fiendish space so that it can fuse with the Nihility Fate Pearl. Once the fusion is complete, I'll be the master of the Nihility Fiendish space. At that time, the 9 regions world's laws will be complete, and the world's laws will be supreme. The mysterious heaven world won't be able to invade as they please, said Night Sorrow. Things really are going smoothly. Right now, we're racing against time to repair the 9 regions world before the slaughter. That'll make things much less troublesome. Wu Lingfei waved her jade-like arm and said. The group moved forward. At night, Yishang would order everyone to set up camp and then he would meditate to stabilize his cultivation. On this day, as soon as they set up camp and were drinking tea, Night Sorrow's body trembled. This was because he had established a connection with the first department. His clone in the Heaven Sealing Grand Hall had been completed. At this time, in a special space within the Heaven Sealing Temple, a man was standing there. This man was Night Sorrow's soul avatar. He waved his arm, and a green robe of energy appeared on his body. 7 VLP, it feels alright. It's just that I have a close connection with the Heaven Sealing Palace and can't leave, the green-robed Night Sorrow muttered to himself. Night Sorrow's soul avatar was catalyzed by the Heaven Sealing Great Hall and was closely related to the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. At this moment, he knew how to guard the 9-domain origin protective barrier. The situation of the Great Array outside was also reflected in his divine sense C. At this time, the 9-domain origin chi appeared in front of Night Sorrow. You have the ability to activate the 9-domain origin protective barrier and the outer 2 formations. However, during the catalyzing process, your body has become one with the core formation. You can't leave the 9-domain origin protective barrier. I understand. When I have time, I'll have my main body send over a spatial ring. It's a bit inconvenient. Night Sorrow stretched his body and sat down cross-legged to sense his body's condition. As for weapons, the Heaven Sealing Great Hall can give you a king-class spear. You can say that you are invincible within the 9-domain origin protective barrier, said the 9-domain origin chi to Night Sorrow. I will firmly guard this place. Night Sorrow nodded. Work hard on your cultivation. Your situation is different from Clear Sky Sage King's. He is a remnant soul. You have become one with the Heaven Sealing Great Hall's formation, so your lifespan is unlimited. As long as the Heaven Sealing Great Hall is not destroyed, you will be undying. Your cultivation base will increase infinitely with your main body. The 9-domain origin chi then left. Undying and indestructible, the white-robed Night Sorrow muttered from within the camp. What did you say? Asked Wu Lingfei. My soul avatar has reached large success. Because it has become one with the core formation of the Heaven Sealing Great Hall, It is undying, said Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow then explained his soul avatar's situation. It can have children. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow with surprise. Aunt Fei, your soul avatar can't? Asked Night Sorrow. It can't. The avatar's body is real, but its blood chi is different from the main body's. It can't reach that level. That's an ability that only the main body has. Wu Lingfei shook her head. Yi Shang nodded. He understood that this was the reason why the Heaven Sealing Grand Hall had refined his blood essence into his soul clone. With a soul avatar that is equivalent to your main body, you'll have a layer of insurance. Wu Lingfei was happy for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow continued to cultivate. He planned to send some things to his soul avatar later, such as robes, wine, and tea. His soul avatar also needed to live. It was no different from the main body. As they advanced, they killed their way through. But that had nothing to do with Night Sorrow. Half a month later, the group was very close to the Netherworld passageway. Yi Wuyo, who was scouting ahead, came back and told Yi Shang that the spatial passageway was filled with nether beasts and nether race people. At this time, they needed to come up with a strategy. Within the command tent, the commander's residence and the various saints were all present. We have to be extremely cautious in the battle at the spatial passageway. Does anyone have any thoughts? Asked Night Sorrow from the main seat. We can fight, but you'll have to come up with a strategy, said the heavenly underworld saint. Elder June, what do you think? Asked Night Sorrow. Then I'll tell you what I think. We'll only be able to defend ourselves by occupying the passage in the Supreme River Dimension. If we're going to fight, we'll have to take over both sides quickly, Jun Xuanji said. My thoughts are the same. If we want to occupy both sides of the spatial channel, we'll be able to attack and defend at any time. Right now, gather all the formation grandmasters and grandmasters. I'll stealthily sneak in and set up a grand formation without the other side noticing. After that, we'll all move out and take down both sides of the spatial channel, said Night Sorrow. Sneaking around again, muttered Jun Xuanji. This is called strategy. Isn't it good to start the battle without expending any energy? Asked Night Sorrow with a frown. It's not bad. It's quite ruthless. Jun Xuanji nodded. He knew that Night Sorrow had heaven-defying abilities and could silently break through spatial seals. That would be a decisive factor in the war between worlds. It was something that no one could defend against. Chapter 865. Then, someone went to gather the formation masters. A moment later, a dozen or so people gathered outside the command tent. They were all formation masters, and Jun Xuanji was standing in front of them. Why are you standing here? We're going to set up a formation so that the netherworld can't come into contact with the spatial tunnel. The battle will take some time. Night Sorrow looked at Jun Xuanji with a frown. Jun Xuanji was beautiful without her veil, and she had the arrogance of a superior. However, Night Sorrow knew that this woman was full of tricks, and it was better to stay away from her. I'm a formation master. Aren't you going to set up a formation? Jun Xuanji said confidently. On the GS section of the Zmost Zina chapter, Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, we still need someone to set up a battle here. There are 2 vice commanders here and many saint seniors. There's nothing for me to do. I'll just help set up the formation, Jun Xuanji said. It's good to go. You're the elites of the 2 regions. If you work together, you'll be able to work together in the future, Xian Wenxiu said. Hearing this, Night Sorrow nodded. He had to give Xian Wenxiu face. Xian Wenxiu had done a lot for the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries realm. Night Sorrow waved his right hand, and the space-time pagoda enlarged. When the space-time pagoda transformed into its original form, it was already dozens of feet tall. Little Kong told Night Sorrow that as long as Night Sorrow reached the Saint Realm, he would be able to control the space-time pagoda. At that time, he would be able to reach the clouds and be like a grain of sand in the ocean. Next, the formation masters entered the space-time pagoda. Jun Xuanji did not hesitate and entered as well. Martial Uncle Grand Uncle Monarch Yun, stabilize the situation here. Don't be discovered. If a nether beast approaches the camp, kill it, Night Sorrow said to the Grand Uncle and Yun Tianlong. Then, his body flashed as he charged forward. Night Sorrow was extremely fast. Under the slashing of the spatial barrier, he left behind a series of afterimages. With his powerful soul power, he could easily avoid the nether beast Night Sorrow. When he was 50 miles away from the spatial channel, Night Sorrow quietly tore open space and started to travel through the turbulent space flow. With the power of the rules protecting his body, he didn't consume much energy. At the entrance of the spatial tunnel, Night Sorrow became cautious. The soul flow passed through the spatial barrier, and Night Sorrow discovered a few nether beast saints. Seizing the opportunity, Night Sorrow unleashed a space crack, breaking through the space tunnel's barrier. His body flashed into the space tunnel's turbulent flow. The moment he entered, he waved his left hand and smoothed out the space crack. At this moment, a few nether beast saints with human bodies and wolf heads appeared. They had all sensed the energy fluctuations and came over to take a look. They didn't sense anything and returned to their original positions. Night Sorrow's soul power also detected two special people. They were no different from humans, and the only difference was that they had a horn on their head. Night Sorrow knew that they were from the Nether race. After passing through the spatial channel, Night Sorrow investigated and discovered that the Netherworld's entrance was even more heavily guarded. There was a large hall near the entrance, and there were many pavilions around it. After waiting for a while, Night Sorrow took advantage of a gap in the patrols to use a space crack. He broke through the barrier between the spatial channel and the Netherworld's turbulent flow. Without being detected, he entered the Netherworld's turbulent flow and continued to travel. After traveling dozens of miles, Night Sorrow broke through the spatial barrier and entered the space-time pagoda. "What's the situation?" asked Jun Xuanji. "We've entered the Netherworld, but their defenses are very strong," said Night Sorrow as he took out a tea set and brewed tea. "Then we'll have to be careful when setting up the formation. We can also set up the formation a bit further away from the spatial channel and slowly push our way to the entrance," said Jun Xuanji. "Stability is the most important thing. I'll set up the illusion formation in a bit, and then everyone can leave. Does anyone have any suggestions for the formation? The stronger, the better, and the more complicated, the better. Don't let others break it in a few moves," said Night Sorrow. At this moment, everyone turned to look at Enho. He was a formation grandmaster. "Young master, this subordinate has recently studied the ancient formation diagram cosmic formation. I have some insights that can be used to set it up," said Enho. "Then tell everyone how to set up the formation." Night Sorrow nodded to Enho. "It's very complicated, and only I can command it. Everyone will set up the formation in different positions. Everyone has a foundation in formations, so it's fine as long as you don't get the formation wrong," said Enho. "Alright, our formation strategy is to first set up the illusion formation, and then set up the formation inside the illusion formation. Safety and secrecy are the most important things," said Night Sorrow. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone nodded. Next, Night Sorrow exited the space-time pagoda and moved closer to the spatial channel. There were still around 20 li left. When he could no longer get any closer, Night Sorrow brought out some spirit stones and set up an illusion formation with a radius of tens of zhang. Next, he sent everyone out. Everyone is now inside an illusion formation. Start setting up the formation. After setting up an area, continue setting up the illusion formation to push forward, ordered Night Sorrow. Next, Enho began arranging for everyone to set up the formation. Night Sorrow was also busy. However, he was setting up an illusion formation to increase the area where everyone could move around. Although the process of setting up the illusion formation was somewhat slow, it was still ongoing. 8 days. After 8 days, they set up a great formation with a radius of over 20 li around the spatial channel. The isolation of the formation is complete. Continue increasing the thickness of the formation, said Night Sorrow to Enho. At any rate, as long as the formation was not activated, the other party would not notice. Next, they continued setting up the formation. Fortunately, the Grand Domain formation was set up in succession. Once it was activated, it would activate all at once. Those who did not understand formations would be trapped and killed if they entered. Half a month later, only the palace and a few buildings remained at the spatial channel's entrance. There were no more formations around them. Most importantly, there was no way to approach them. This mission is complete. After activating the formation, you guys enter the space-time pagoda. We'll head back and start the battle, said Night Sorrow to Enho. Enho nodded. He immediately activated the Grand Domain formation, which was composed of over 10,000 individual formations. Following the activation of the formation, winds and clouds rose and white mist spread out around the spatial channel's entrance. With the exception of the palace and the buildings, the rest of the space was enveloped in white mist and roiling energy. Don't resist. I'll take you all away, said Night Sorrow to the people beside him. Next, his soul power surged out to take everyone into the space-time pagoda. Next, he utilized Spatial Ren to enter the spatial turbulence and charge towards the spatial channel's entrance. Chapter 866. After Night Sorrow arrived at the spatial tunnel's entrance, he used Spatial Ren to break through the spatial barrier and rushed into the spatial tunnel's turbulent flow. As soon as he entered the turbulent flow of space, he was attacked from behind. However, because of the turbulent flow of space, Night Sorrow didn't suffer much damage. After rushing out of the spatial passage, Night Sorrow broke through the spatial barrier of the Supreme River Space and entered the spatial turbulence to fly. At this time, the interior and exterior of the spatial passage were in chaos. The Netherworld world already knew that they were under attack. Night Sorrow quickly shuttled through the spatial turbulence and arrived at the campsite of the Nine Regions world and the Profound Mysteries realm after a while. After tearing open space and returning to the real world, Night Sorrow issued a battle order. That was to surround the spatial passageway and slaughter the Nether Realm forces. Then, through the spatial passageway, they would occupy the other party's spatial passageway. Following Night Sorrow's order, the people of the two realms rushed toward the spatial passage under the lead of the saints. At this time, the Nine Regions world had 4 pinnacle saints, a few high-level saints, and even more mid-level and low-level saints. After a while, they surrounded the spatial passage and began to kill. With the reincarnation spear in hand, Night Sorrow's attacks were deadly. As long as they were not saints, they would not be able to resist his violent attacks. In less than an hour, the Netherworld beasts and people of the Netherworld race at the spatial passage were killed by the elites of the Nine Regions world and the Profound Mysteries realm. Now, let's kill our way over and occupy the other side. Then, we will continue to stabilize the formation. Night Sorrow's body flashed and entered the spatial passage. The saints of the two realms who were worried that Night Sorrow would be in danger hurriedly followed. The others also quickly followed behind. On the Netherworld world side of the spatial passage, there was an 8-star saint from the Netherworld race guarding it. The rest were 3 mid-level saints and some venerables. This 8-star saint from the Netherworld race was directly controlled by Long Xuanxing's chaotic space and began to kill him. The other saints took control of the spatial passage like the autumn wind sweeping the fallen leaves. Following that, Night Sorrow brought the Array Masters out of the space-time treasure pagoda. Protector Entropy, continue strengthening the array formation. We must make this place impregnable. After giving his instructions, Night Sorrow passed through the teleportation array and flew off into the distance. After flying for 20,000 li, he set up a teleportation array in a secluded mountain range. Then he changed directions and flew for another 100,000 li before setting up another teleportation array. Night Sorrow set up the teleportation array, placed the teleportation crystal, and placed a spare teleportation crystal. In other words, as long as Night Sorrow returned to the spatial passage and set up the teleportation array, he could teleport back and forth. After doing all this, Night Sorrow returned to the spatial passageway. At this moment, the spatial passageway was surrounded by the Netherworld's army. It was an army of venerables, and there was a saint-level commander in the middle. Ignoring the enemies charging at him, Night Sorrow cut open space and entered the space turbulence. He passed through the array area and arrived at the entrance of the space tunnel. The people of the Nine Domains world were setting up camp at the entrance of the spatial passageway. Array masters were reinforcing the array formations. Night Sorrow, where did you go? Xiaolongjun asked as she looked at Night Sorrow. I went to a secluded place in the enemy camp and set up 2 teleportation arrays, Night Sorrow said. Make sure they're well hidden. Don't be like me. Once the teleportation array was discovered, you dug a hole and waited to jump into it. Jun Xuanji recalled how he had been tricked last time. I won't. I also set up an illusion array outside. As long as the illusion array is broken, the teleportation array will naturally be destroyed. Night Sorrow smiled. He had long since left a backup plan. That's good. Jun Xuanji nodded. Now that the Nine Domains world was closely connected to the profound mysteries realm, she didn't want to lose. The enemy is really strong. If we don't have the initiative and fight them, we won't be able to defeat them, said Long Xianxing. Just now, Night Sorrow had gone to set up the teleportation array. Under Entropy's lead, they had used the array formation to probe the netherworld's strength. As the saying goes, in a battle of wits and courage. Now that we've occupied this place, we have the initiative. We can use any strategy, Night Sorrow said. As Night Sorrow spoke, he began to set up the teleportation array. Once the array was set up, the teleportation crystal lit up. Okay, we can teleport at any time. Should we send someone to scout for information? Yi Linghuan looked at Night Sorrow and asked. That's a little dangerous. The enemy is very strong, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. Grandpa can scout for information. If you meet the enemy, just use spatial rend. You can escape from the spatial turbulence, Yi Linghuan said. Can't saints directly suppress spatial rend? Last time, the saint from the profound mysteries realm suppressed my spatial rend and closed it, Night Sorrow said. P is the only one, the other C and BW are all pirated. Haha, that's because you didn't use the power of laws to protect yourself. Grandpa has the power of laws. No one can instantly suppress me, said Yi Linghuan with a smile. Then I'll go with Saint Skysplitter, said the Flying Tiger Saint. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow nodded. That was because information was very important. Nodding at Night Sorrow, Yi Linghuan and the Flying Tiger Saint took the teleportation array and left to scout for information. Yi Linghuan and the Flying Tiger Saint left. Yi Wuyo also volunteered to go. In the end, everyone decided to have Yi Wuyo and Xiaolongjun go together to scout for information. Protector Entropy, shouted Night Sorrow after sending the 2 teams of scouts away. Junior Master, subordinate has arrived. Entropy ran out of the teleportation array. Set up a spatial ceiling formation near the spatial channel. If we can do it, others might be able to do it as well. That's why we can't allow the space around the spatial channel to be torn apart, said Night Sorrow. I'll have to think about it. I can strengthen the spatial channel, but directly sealing it is difficult. That's not my area of expertise. I'll need some time, said Entropy. All right, we have to hurry. Night Moon Sovereign, meditate everywhere and pay attention to the spatial fluctuations, ordered Night Sorrow. There's no need to go through so much trouble. I know how to set up a spatial ceiling formation, said Jun Xuanji. Then what are we waiting for? Set it up on both sides of the spatial channel, said Night Sorrow to Jun Xuanji. Following this, Jun Xuanji went to set up the spatial ceiling formation. The grand uncles arranged for people to set up camp. There were people standing guard on both sides of the spatial channel. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea in the command tent. As he drank, he thought about whether there were any holes in his strategy. Night Sorrow, there really is a large gap between our strength and theirs. Let alone the others, just the netherworld warriors outside the teleportation array are not to be underestimated, said Heavenly Underworld Saint to Night Sorrow. Don't worry. There's no such thing as a dead end. If we're not strong enough, we'll just wait. In any case, the initiative is in our hands, said Night Sorrow. The others nodded. They all knew that this was the right strategy. They had seized the initiative in the first battle. Otherwise, if they had fought in the Supreme River space, it would have been a battle to the death. That was something no one wanted to face. Soon, Entropy came to report that the Netherworld Realms people were still gathering, but none of the formation masters were able to break the formation. Several formation masters had tried to break the formation, but before Entropy and the others could do anything, they were killed by the formation. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that right now, they could only see if the Grand Cycle formation could hold back the Netherworld Realms people. If it could, then they could stabilize the situation. If it couldn't, then they would have to think of other strategies. Chapter 867. Soon, the spatial channel was occupied by the 9 domain worlds camp. The situation stabilized. After observing for 7 or 8 days, Night Sorrow found that although the Netherworld world's cultivators were very strong, their understanding of formations was lacking. They simply couldn't break formations. After discovering this, Night Sorrow once again gathered the people from the commander's residence. "Commander, do you have any new orders?" asked Yun Tianlong. "Yes. The Netherworld world's formation research is lacking, so they can't break formations. In other words, our defensive formation is stable, so we need to stabilize the rear. Everyone, go out and clear out the Supreme River region. In the future, there can't be any nether beasts in the Supreme River region. They can't threaten the 9-domain world," said Night Sorrow. Hearing Yishang's words, everyone bowed and accepted their orders. Split up the teams. Each team must be led by a high-level saint. In other words, each high-level saint will lead a team. Cultivators and formation masters who have room to grow stronger will stay behind. The formation here is stable, and we need people to support and maintain it, added Night Sorrow. Following this, the 2 vice commanders went to arrange the teams, and the elders of the commander's residence also began to move. The majority of the people moved. She stayed behind to accompany Night Sorrow, while the god-slaying squad followed Long Shenxing to fight. Night Sorrow tossed a messaging crystal to Jun Xuanji. "If there's a big problem, crush it. If there's a small problem, deal with it yourself." "What about you?" asked Jun Xuanji as he took Night Sorrow's messaging crystal. "If I have to do everything, then why would I need an elder like you?" Glancing at Jun Xuanji, Long Xuanji entered the space-time pagoda. Jun Xuanji was startled by Night Sorrow's words. He let out a breath and calmed himself before continuing to set up the spatial ceiling formation. After entering the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow and She flirted for a while before having Little Sky transfer all of She's daily necessities to the 70th level. She was a 6-star saint, so she could afford to stay on the 70th level. Night Sorrow also planned on staying on the 70th level in the future. Because of the time acceleration, his cultivation base could quickly increase. First release then, Night Sorrow began to meditate and cultivate. Recently, the 6th bloodline talent had shown signs of loosening, so Night Sorrow continued to strive for it. Night Sorrow's main cultivation direction was to increase his True Qi cultivation and the Myriad Tao Tome cultivation, because he wanted to break through to the 7th stage. Although he was young, Night Sorrow was someone who could calm down. Once he started cultivating, he would forget about the time. In any case, this was a peaceful period, and there was no danger in the war. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Night Sorrow's Jinqi cultivation was not far from the late stage of the 9th level Venerable Realm. His Myriad Dao treasured cannon had also reached the late stage of the 8th level of the Spirit Refinement Realm. If others wanted to increase their cultivation, they would need several years or even longer. This was because the amount of energy required was incomparably large. However, Night Sorrow had the space-time pagoda fully instilling energy into him. All he needed to do was refine it. In addition, Night Sorrow's Divine Sea, which was originally empty apart from the Divine Bead, was now filled with a purple fog. This was his newly cultivated soul force, and the crescent blade of soul extinguishing slash was becoming more and more solid. At this time, only a month and a half had passed in the outside world. After cultivating with Shi for a while and stabilizing his cultivation, Night Sorrow left the space-time pagoda. He wanted to see what was going on. Seeing Night Sorrow come out, Jun Xuanji, who was patrolling outside the formation, was stunned. What's the situation recently? Night Sorrow asked Jun Xuanji. A lot of people have gathered in the Nether Realm. If it weren't for the formation, they would have eaten us alive, Jun Xuanji reported to Night Sorrow. As long as the formation is effective, it's fine, Night Sorrow said. After that, Night Sorrow asked the two groups of people who were scouting for information, but there was no news. The people who had gone to the Supreme River Space to fight had not returned either. Everything was still going on. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow went through the spatial channel and began setting up a formation near the channel's entrance. Jun Xuanji also followed. Why aren't you setting up the formation over there? Why are you here? Jun Xuanji asked when he saw Night Sorrow setting up the formation. I'm setting up a defensive line. Even if the formation over there isn't stable, there's a second line of defense. It's better to be prepared, Night Sorrow said. Jun Xuanji understood after thinking about it. Night Sorrow did this to add a layer of insurance. In order to ensure that the formation was strong, Night Sorrow had used top-grade spirit stones at the key locations. Night Sorrow had even used top-grade spirit stones. Even Jun Xuanji, who understood formations, could not understand what Night Sorrow was doing. What was the 1000 amplification formation? It was the clear sky Sage King's blood, sweat, and tears. No matter how profound one's attainments in formations were, it was difficult to understand without a formation diagram. Night Sorrow, who was tired, rested for a while before continuing his research. After 4 days, a small 1000 amplification killing formation was formed. You're using too many spirit stones, said Jun Xuanji, who was watching Night Sorrow set up the formation. I still have to use them. However, I still gained a lot. It was worth it, said Night Sorrow. In truth, Jun Xuanji did not know that Night Sorrow had gained a new understanding of formations while he was setting up the formation. He had also reached the level of a formation grandmaster. Now that the formation was complete, Night Sorrow felt a bit more at ease. He then returned to the camp inside the spatial channel to make tea. After drinking tea, Night Sorrow tested the strength of the spatial passageway's spatial confinement array formation. Night Sorrow could still cut open space, but it was very strenuous. It could be said to be extremely strenuous. Not bad. Night Sorrow felt that it was very strenuous for him, and it would be even more difficult for others to break open. There was no problem in terms of safety. You have to give me the spirit stones. I used a lot of them, said Jun Xuanji as he looked at Night Sorrow. Wait for the Grand Elder to return. Ask her for them. I don't care about resources. Night Sorrow directly ignored Jun Xuanji. After telling Jun Xuanji to call him if there was anything, Night Sorrow returned to the space-time pagoda to continue cultivating. This time, other than checking out the situation, he also wanted to get some fresh air. It's safe outside. Aren't you afraid that someone will dig out the spirit stones you used to set up the formation? Asked Xue Shi as she looked at Night Sorrow. She saw that Night Sorrow had set up the formation but had not activated it. You're overthinking it. I've placed the spirit stones very deep into the ground. They won't move easily. If someone touches the formation's foundation, they'll activate the formation and be attacked, said Night Sorrow. After that, Yi Shan began to cultivate again. He planned to cultivate his true qi to the peak of the 9th level as soon as possible, then settle down. As for the Myriad Daos treasured tome, he still had a long way to go before reaching the 7th level of the Golden Body realm, so he was in no hurry. Half a month had passed in the outside world, while Yi Shang had been cultivating in the space-time pagoda for another month. Yi Shang's cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th level Venerable realm, which meant that he had reached the critical point of breaking through to the Saint realm. Night Sorrow stretched his waist. He knew that he would have to slowly settle down. Once he stabilized, he would be able to break through to the Saint realm. When Night Sorrow came out of the space-time pagoda, Yi Linghuan and the Flying Tiger Saint returned. The two of them brought back some news that made Night Sorrow feel very depressed. Yi Linghuan and the Flying Tiger Saint had disguised themselves and captured people to interrogate them. They knew some of the Nether Realm's strength. Chapter 868. We can't fight them head-on. We can't beat them. Night Sorrow felt a headache coming on after hearing the news from Yilinghuan. The difference is huge. The main reason is that the Netherworld race and Netherworld beasts have much longer lifespans than us. That's why they have so many peak saints. Yilinghuan explained the reason why the other side had so many peak saints. Fortunately, we've stabilized the situation. If they really broke in, we wouldn't be able to hold on, Night Sorrow said. Also, we know that they didn't attack us previously because they were waiting for their first king, the Nine-Een King, to come out of seclusion. Last time, they sent 2 high-level saints but couldn't defeat us. So, they decided to wait for the 7 underworld kings to gather. If they didn't wait, then the 9 regions world would be in big trouble, Flying Tiger Saint said. This is fate. The god of fate is on our side. Now that we have the advantage, they can't break in even with their strength. That's not good, Night Sorrow said. Right now, we can only stabilize the situation and wait for an opportunity, Yilinghuan said. Night Sorrow nodded. The other side had 7 peak saints. This wasn't something that the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries realm could fight against. Not long after Yilinghuan and Flying Tiger Saint returned, the people who were fighting in the Supreme River Dimension also returned. The Supreme River Dimension had been cleaned up. Although the Supreme River Dimension was huge, it couldn't withstand such a cleanup. After knowing the strength of the Netherworld realm, Long Xianxing and the others felt helpless. There was no way to fight when there was a huge difference in strength. The 9 regions world's army was at an absolute disadvantage when it came to peak saints. 3 days later, Yi Wuyo and Xie Lanjun returned. The 2 of them had investigated in detail. Xie Lanjun was a woman, so her thoughts were more meticulous. They brought back a detailed map with the distribution of the major forces in the Nether realm. Night Sorrow, do you have any ideas? If not, we'll just defend. With the formation we can still hold on, Sky Underworld Saint said. Let me think. Looking at the map, Night Sorrow tried to think of a solution to the crisis. After pondering for a while, Night Sorrow nodded at Yi Wuyo with the map in his hand. Father, since you've gone out to investigate the other party's strength, you'll naturally know the names of the 7 underworld kings and the forces they belong to. Help me mark them down. After that, Yi Wuyo circled the forces that the 7 underworld kings belonged to on the map. After taking 2 deep breaths, Night Sorrow made his decision. Kill. How are we supposed to kill a peak saint? There are 4 of us and 7 of them. Let's just send them to be killed, said Sky Underworld Saint to Night Sorrow. Don't talk so much, just listen. Long Xianxing glared at Heavenly Underworld Saint. Gather our strongest forces and kill their strongest individual soldier. Night Sorrow spoke his mind. Seeing that everyone was confused, Night Sorrow explained. Night Sorrow's idea was for the 4 peak saints on their side to go out and attack the 7 underworld kings. They would capture one of them and kill them one by one. That's a ruthless idea. It's not bad. It'll be easy for us 4 peak saints to capture one of their peak saints. Sky Underworld Saint's eyes lit up. The other people who were originally in low spirits also became spirited. All right, we'll set off tomorrow. The earlier the better, said Night Sorrow. We'll be the ones setting off. This matter has nothing to do with you, said Long Xianxing to Night Sorrow. I'm worried, said Night Sorrow. You don't have to worry about the 4 of us going to kill one of them, said Xianwenxiu. I'll go with you. If there's a special situation, I can tear open space and bring everyone away, said Night Sorrow. There's no need for you. Grandpa will go with us. This way, even if there's a problem, it won't be a problem to retreat, said Yilinghuan. He wouldn't let Night Sorrow take the risk. Seeing that everyone was so determined, Night Sorrow could only nod. He then looked at Grand Elder. Spiritual fluid of origin, spiritual fluid of life, and other necessary resources have been prepared. Grand Elder cupped her hands. She knew that Night Sorrow valued people the most. He didn't want anyone on his side to die. Night Sorrow, just wait for our good news. You've come up with such a good idea. If we can't solve the problem, it'll be our fault, said Long Xianxing. Remember, complete the encirclement and kill everyone who knows about the battle. Seal off the news. Only then can we carry out the next attack safely, said Night Sorrow. Then, Long Xianxing and the other 3 peak saints, as well as Yi Linghuan, took the transmission array and left to carry out Night Sorrow's plan. Yi Shang, you don't have to worry. As long as the 7 underworld kings don't gather, they won't be able to threaten the safety of our team. You know how strong Senior Long Xianxing is. The announcing saint also has a high-grade holy treasure, Xielan Jun said to Yi Shang. Night Sorrow nodded. Then he looked at Grand Elder and Lu Qin. Grand Elder and Martial Ant, the array master used some spiritual stones some time ago. Also, replenish her spiritual stones. After everything was arranged, Night Sorrow brought his parents, Xue Shi, and 3 fiancés to his tent. Then he made to, Father, Mother, it's been hard on you. It's okay. I feel a sense of accomplishment fighting under my son's command. I don't feel tired at all. I'm in high spirits, said Yu Qing with a smile. With the cleanup, the Supreme River space won't be a hidden danger anymore. You can be more assured as the commander of the commander's residence, said Sikong Chiyu to Night Sorrow. Looking at the U9 on the D chapter, if I'm being assured, I can only be assured when Senior Long Xianxing and the other seniors come back safely, said Night Sorrow as he poured tea for everyone. Don't worry, there won't be any problems. Son, you're not far from entering the Saint Realm, right? Yi Wei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. My cultivation is still stabilizing. It's about time for me to break through, said Night Sorrow. That's amazing. When Mother first saw you, you were only a mid-level venerable. Now you're charging toward the Saint Realm. Yu Qing looked at her son with pride. After staying for a while, Night Sorrow sent everyone to the 60th floor of the space-time pagoda to cultivate. He himself went to the 70th floor. Yi Wei was a saint, so he could go to the 70th floor. However, Night Sorrow felt that it was more appropriate for his parents to be together. As for the energy that everyone needed to cultivate, Night Sorrow could bear it. He just needed to give Shao Kong more spirit stones. Night Sorrow stabilized his true qi every day, increasing his soul power and the cultivation of the myriad Daos treasured tome. After cultivating for a month, Night Sorrow's cultivation of the myriad Daos treasured tome broke through to the 9th level of the spirit refinement realm. If he broke through again, he would reach the 7th level of the golden body realm. By then, he would be able to fight against saints. In truth, it was very difficult to break through from the spirit refinement realm to the golden body realm from the spirit refinement realm. One needed to control the laws and have the power of laws fill the body. However, Night Sorrow had already completed this step while cultivating his true qi and soul power. Night Sorrow would also go to the 60th floor of the Spacetime Pagoda to see how his parents and fiancé were cultivating. He would also go to the campsite to check on them. To the 9 regions world, guarding the spatial passageway was the most important thing. If it was lost, it would be a serious problem. Chapter 869. Night Sorrow spent most of his time cultivating. He had a strong sense of danger. Only when he was strong would he feel at ease. He searched for Orchid Book Handle and read new chapters. Other than cultivating, Night Sorrow would often visit the camp of the God-slaying squad. Every time she saw Night Sorrow, she would cuddle with Night Sorrow for a while. Night Sorrow had told her many times that it was inappropriate for a lady to hug him every time she saw him. However, she did not mind at all. Every time Tianyu saw Yi Shang, he would ask for wine. His cultivation had also increased in a straight line. He was the person with the highest cultivation in the God-slaying squad, reaching the 5th level Venerable Realm. Even the Venerables of the God-slaying squad who cultivated by eating dragon spirit pills couldn't compare to him. Night Sorrow also asked Xie Jun to arrange for people to set up the teleportation array. From the spatial tunnel to the Medicine Valley region, they must be able to communicate quickly. Now that there were no main forces in the 9 regions world, they must be able to contact them immediately if something happened. Night Sorrow, Jun Xuanji, and Ren Tianji also communicated more. However, Ren Tianji spent most of his time cultivating. Sometimes, Night Sorrow would also go and check on the movements of the netherworld. Currently, the netherworld did not know how to break the array at the spatial tunnel. This was because the foggy area was filled with fierce beasts that devoured life. The commander of the Netherworld army did not appear after sending people into the array. This made him very nervous. He did not continue to send array masters and only surrounded the area. Night Sorrow wanted to bring people out to kill, but because he did not want to alert the enemy, he could only endure it. In the blink of an eye, Long Xianxing and the rest had left for almost 2 months. Night Sorrow was a little anxious. After all, it had been a long time. Yi Shang, you don't need to worry. Long Xianxing himself has the strength to kill opponents of the same level. The saint declared also has a saint tool. There won't be a problem. If there is a problem, the news will be sent back. Wu Lingfei came to Yi Shang's side. The Netherworld is a world with a long history. It is indeed powerful and not easy to deal with, Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei nodded. She also understood how strong the Netherworld race was. They were all dark elemental cultivators. Not to mention how strong the Nether beasts were, they were just battle beasts under the command of the Netherworld race. We have also discovered many Nether beasts with the death attribute. If there is a death attribute among the 7 Nether Kings, it will be difficult to deal with them. Night Sorrow voiced his concern. There are still some advanced attributes at Tier 4 and Tier 5. Although there aren't many who have entered the Venerable Realm, there are still some. However, it's difficult to control advanced attributes. It's as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Wu Lingfei said. She had felt it before. She had advanced from the water element to the life element, but the life element was very difficult to grasp. It was Night Sorrow who had taken the Life Saint Crystal and pushed her forward, allowing her to enter the Saint Realm through the life element. If the other side doesn't have any advanced attribute saints, then it'll be fine. Us 4 Peak Saints will be able to defeat them one by one. Hearing that, Night Sorrow felt a bit more at ease. The 2 of them patrolled around the array formation. When they returned to the command tent in the campsite, the teleportation array formation flashed and a figure appeared on it. Night Sorrow quickly walked over. Because this transportation formation was only connected to the Netherworld's 2 transportation formations, only Long Xuanxing's group of 5 could be teleported back here. Long Xianxing and Xian Wenxiu didn't seem to be injured, but Sky Underworld Saint and Shang Luo seemed a bit dispirited. As for Yi Linghuan, he was still normal. You're all back? Seniors, are you all right? Night Sorrow asked worriedly. It was our negligence this time. We didn't complete our mission properly, said Long Xianxing. Don't worry. Even if we didn't kill them, it's fine. We just have to defend this place. Night Sorrow was already very happy that they had returned safely. After that, Long Xianxing explained the situation to Long Xianxing. It wasn't that they didn't manage to kill anything this time, it was just that they didn't manage to get to the end. They managed to kill 3 Hell Kings, but when they were about to kill the 4th one, that Hell King was very strong. He broke through the blockade and escaped. Following that, when the 5 of them went to kill the other Hell Kings, they were surrounded by 4 other Hell Kings. Because of the continuous fighting, Shang Luo and Sky Underworld Saint had been injured, and so they had been suppressed by the other side. It was Yi Linghuan who had repeatedly used spatial cracks to block the other side's attacks. At the same time, he had also brought the 4 of them into a spatial crack and left the battlefield. This result is very good. Killing 3 of the other side's Nether Kings has equalized our strength. Night Sorrow was very happy to hear Long Xuanxing's words. This was a great result. If that fellow hadn't escaped, we would have been able to kill them one by one until the end. We didn't understand that fellow. He had entered the Saint Realm with a high-level attribute, so he suppressed us. Long Xianxing explained the reason why that Nether King had escaped. It's fine. Now that Senior Long Xianxing and Senior Xian Saint are uninjured, can you continue fighting? Asked Night Sorrow. Yes, the 2 of us can continue fighting. Long Xianxing nodded. He knew that if there wasn't a need, Night Sorrow wouldn't have asked this. Xian Wenxiu also nodded, indicating that they could continue fighting. Martial Uncle Grand Uncle, gather all the saints and invincible venerables. Before the King of Hell arrives, we'll gather all our peak combat power and launch a wave of attacks at their army. We'll kill a wave of their saint commanders and peak venerables to equalize the strength of our two worlds, Yi Shang announced his decision. All right. Tai Shu Yen went to inform the others. Long Xianxing and Xian Wenxiu also began to recover. After leaving the battlefield, they had been hurrying on their way. Night Sorrow also brought his parents and Xue Shi out of the space-time pagoda. 2 hours later, Long Xianxing and Xian Wenxiu, who had recovered after consuming the Origin Spirit Liquid and Life Spirit Liquid, nodded to Night Sorrow. I can also continue fighting. Sky Underworld Saint nodded to Night Sorrow. Shang Luo also indicated that he could continue fighting. That's fine too. Seniors, don't focus on the other side's saints. Just grab the other side's peak paragons and high-level paragons and kill them. Our goal this time is to weaken their strength. Night Sorrow said. Then let's end it quickly. Their 4 Nether Kings will definitely arrive later. Long Xianxing said. Then I'll talk about the battle strategy. Our pinnacle saints will grab their high-level saints and kill them. Our high-level saints will suppress their mid-level saints and kill their commanders. We have to suppress them and deal the most damage. We'll fight the way we can deal the most damage. Night Sorrow explained his battle strategy. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the others nodded. Those who have expended a lot of energy or are injured, retreat directly into the formation. If the enemy King of Hell arrives, our people will retreat directly into the formation. Inform all the formation masters to wait for orders in the formation and bring back our people who have retreated into the formation safely. If the enemy pursues into the formation, they will be killed or trapped by the formation. Night Sorrow said again, then led everyone into the formation and approached the army of the Netherworld. Search for a basket of erotic books to read the rest of the chapters. Chapter 870. The elites of the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries realm approached the Netherworld army through the formation under the lead of the formation master. Search for Orchid Book Handle. When they reached the edge of the formation, Night Sorrow directly gave the order to start the battle. Following which, everyone rushed out and started to attack the Netherworld army. Long Xianxing and Xian Wenxiu rushed to the front and directly restrained the 2 high-level saints, suppressing them and attacking them. As for high-level saints, Xie Jun was the only one in the 9 regions world. However, the profound mysteries realm had 2 more. A total of 3 high-level saints attacked the mid-level saints of the Netherworld army. The others didn't have a clear target. They just killed whoever they met. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and rushed into the enemy army. When he used his 7-star brilliant moon spear, there was almost no one who could withstand it. Yu Qing was worried about her son and followed behind. Wu Lingfei also followed Night Sorrow not far away. The battle was very intense. This was an all-out attack for the 9 regions world. It was very difficult for the Netherworld army, which was only a part of the Netherworld army, to withstand it. After a while, corpses were everywhere. One had to know that Long Xianxing and Xian Wenxiu were both Netherworld King-level powerhouses in the Netherworld realm. Sky Underworld Saint and Shang Luo were injured and couldn't fight against high-level saints. However, killing peak venerables was as easy as chopping vegetables. Night Sorrow didn't know how many times he killed the enemy army. After killing them once, he continued to kill. As long as they weren't from his camp, they were all killed by him. If an ordinary army couldn't withstand the slaughter, the army would scatter. Those who should run would run, and those who should escape would run. However, none of the Netherworld army's Netherworld beasts or people from the Netherworld army ran. They were all fighting to the death. Even if they died, they didn't retreat. They were very valiant. Even if their arms and half of their bodies were cut off, they still fought. Those who have expended a lot of energy or are injured, retreat to the formation, Yi Shang shouted and continued to slaughter the underworld army. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's order, some of the injured and exhausted cultivators from the 9 regions and the profound mysteries realm retreated into the formation. Once they returned to the Great Formation, the formation masters would receive them to a safe place. However, once the Nether Realm's Nether Race and Nether Beasts entered the space of the Great Formation, they would be trapped by the Killing Formation and Illusion Formation. At this time, Long Xianxing and Xian Wenxiu had also killed their opponents. They began to kill the higher-level nether beasts and nether race members. Commander, give the order to retreat. The enemy's experts are here. After fighting for another half an hour, Xian Wenxiu called out to Knight Sorrow. He had sensed the arrival of the Nether King. Retreat! Don't get caught up in the fight. Retreat! Shouted Knight Sorrow. He charged toward the god-slaying squad. The god-slaying squad's cultivation bases were low, and they had been fighting in formation. Now that they wanted to retreat, they wouldn't be able to do so quickly. Everyone was retreating. Long Xianxing, Xian Wenxiu, Heavenly Underworld Sage, and Shang Luo went all out to block the counterattacks of the Netherworld army and give the others time to retreat. Knight Sorrow used his reincarnation spear to kill the Nether Realm warriors he encountered. If he encountered any god-slaying squad members, he would send them flying into the Great Formation. Retreat! Long Xianxing shouted at Knight Sorrow once more. At this time, Knight Sorrow sent the last member of the god-slaying squad, Ma Zhuang, flying into the Great Formation. Then he charged toward the Great Formation in a flash. Just at this time, a suppressive law fell on Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow roared. Purple energy ripples spread out in all directions, breaking through the bindings. Just as Knight Sorrow broke through the bindings, a beam of energy slammed into Knight Sorrow, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying. Knight Sorrow's body drew an arc as he charged toward the Great Formation. At this time, a large hand of energy slammed toward Knight Sorrow once more. It was a woman wearing golden battle robes and a golden helmet. Her golden helmet had 2 curved horns with a special aura. She was the Netherworld Realm's #1 Nether King, the 9E Nether King. That attack just now had come from her. Another hand of energy came out of the Great Formation, canceling out the 9E Nether King's attack, allowing Knight Sorrow to smoothly fall into the Great Formation. Once Knight Sorrow landed, someone supported Knight Sorrow. It was Wu Lingfei. While supporting Knight Sorrow, Wu Lingfei sent her life energy into Knight Sorrow's body, helping Knight Sorrow stabilize his injuries. After stabilizing himself, Knight Sorrow spat out another mouthful of black blood. There were even flames burning within the blood. Array Master, keep an eye on the Great Formation's stability. The rest of you, clean up the Netherworld warriors that entered the Great Formation. Aunt Fei, help me back. Knight Sorrow said softly. The energy in his body was tumbling. A black energy was tumbling within his body. He was using the Void True Qi and the power of Desolates to suppress it. After returning to the command tent, Knight Sorrow immediately sat down cross-legged to heal his injuries. As he meditated, the top of Knight Sorrow's head was filled with black flames with streaks of red. Those flames were forced out of his body. Be looking at you a moment later, Knight Sorrow's upper robes were burned away. His hair was filled with flowing purple flames, resisting the black and red flames that were forced out of his body. That's the 9E Nether King. It's an explosive flame with a death attribute and an ultimate flame attribute. Right now, those 2 energies are destroying Knight Sorrow's body, said Long Xianxing. It's my fault. Captain only received that attack because he saved me. Ma Zhuang slapped himself. That's enough. Your martial uncle saved you. Did he want to see you like this? Yang Lei glared at Ma Zhuang. Ma Zhuang, your martial uncle is fine, said Aoi. Ma Zhuang nodded and stood to the side. At this time, Jun Xuanji also arrived. Everyone knew that Knight Sorrow had been heavily injured. What's the situation outside? Xian Wenxiu asked Jun Xuanji. They've been wildly attacking the Great Formation for a while. Our array masters have reinforced it. There's no problem. We can hold on. How about him? Jun Xuanji asked Knight Sorrow. I don't know. Shang Luo shook his head. At this time, Knight Sorrow raised his head and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Within the blood was a black and red flame. Clasping his hands together, Knight Sorrow stabilized the energy in his body. Then he opened his eyes. Knight Sorrow, how are you? Asked Sikong Chiu as he crouched down and looked at Knight Sorrow. That fellow's attack was too fierce. My body managed to withstand the danger of being destroyed, but I still received some internal injuries. I'll have to refine her energy bit by bit. I won't be able to increase my cultivation base during this time. Get me a cup of water first, said Night Sorrow as he nodded to Sikong Chuyu. Then he put on his robes. It's good that you're fine. If something happened to you, no matter how many enemies we killed, it would be a loss, said Heavenly Underworld Sage as he looked at Night Sorrow. Senior Heavenly Underworld Sage is too serious. As long as we can reduce the enemy's strength, my personal losses are nothing, said Night Sorrow as he took a big gulp of tea from Yang Lei. What are you talking about? You're the commander of 2 commanderies. If something happened to you, it would be the same as us being beheaded by the enemy, said Long Xianxing. Also, please give me some devil fruits. These devil fruits are linked to my royalties and salary. If I don't have enough, the situation will be very serious. For every dollar he tipped or spent on the excavator, there would be a devil fruit that the excavator would not have. I hope everyone can support Shizi. I'll be a guest during the day, and the afternoon update will be posted on my phone. If there's an update, I'll add it at night. It's still the same old rule. If you give me 200 yuan or 2,000 excavators, I'll add an update. You can read the rest of the chapters. Chapter 871. I'm fine. Elder June, please take care of the formation. Make sure the formation is stable. Nothing must happen to it. Search for Orchid Book Handle and read new chapters, Night Sorrow said to Jun Xuanji. Commander, don't worry. Just focus on healing. I'll take care of the defensive formation, Jun Xuanji said as he looked at Night Sorrow's pale face. Also, pass down my orders. No one is allowed to fight for now. We need stability, Night Sorrow said as he looked at the group of people in the tent. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone in the tent cupped their fists, including the saints. Night Sorrow nodded to everyone. Then I'll go heal. The other side's berserk energy can't keep destroying my body. Following this, Night Sorrow returned to the tent and entered the 70th level of the space-time pagoda with Xueshi. Night Sorrow, how can I help you now? Xueshi looked at Night Sorrow with some heartache. I'll first refine and expel the destructive energy from my body, Night Sorrow said as he took out a spirit jade stone stool and took off his clothes to heal. Even if he didn't take off his clothes, they would still be burned by the berserk fire energy. As Night Sorrow suppressed and refined the energy, black flames continuously appeared on Night Sorrow's body. That was the death energy and fire energy that he had forced out of his body. The higher-ups of the 9 regions world and the profound mysteries world were all present in the command tent. Dark Monarch 9 Yin's palm strike landed on the commander. If it landed on anyone else, apart from Peak Saints, they would have died on the spot, Shang Luo said. That's right. When I was carrying out the commander plan in the Nether Realm, I was hit by her energy a few times. Even with the protection of the rules and the protective energy shield, I was still injured. Anyone below the mid-level saint level will definitely die. Sky Underworld Saint nodded. Dark Monarch 9 Yin took the 3 Underworld Kings to inspect the battlefield, and his expression became more and more unsightly. What vicious methods! She killed 3 of our Underworld Kings and destroyed a 1/3 of our Nether Realm army. 9th Yin King, we can't break their formation now. We can only passively take a beating. A man wearing black armor and a helmet with a pair of curved horns said. He was the Nether Realm's 7 Fiends Hell King. 7 Evils King, continue to mobilize our underworld army and surround this place. This king will think of a way, 9 Yin Dark King said to 7 Evils King. This king will go now. The 7 Fiends Hades King bowed and left the spatial passageway. 5 Puppet King, go and gather your subordinates as well. The 9th Yin King once again said to a green-robed man with a pair of curved horns on his head. 6 Soul King, you should recuperate first, 9 Yin King said to a man with a pale complexion after giving out instructions. Lupa understands, said the middle-aged man called Lupa by the king of 9 Yin. The Netherworld realm originally had 9 Netherworld kings, but due to the passage of time, 2 of the kings had died due to problems with their lifespans. The remaining 7 kings, the higher the number, the stronger they were. Nine Dark King was the #1 king in the Netherworld realm. No matter if it was strength or prestige, she deserved to be #1. The 7 Netherworld kings of the Netherworld realm respected her and listened to her orders. 6 Soul King was the one who escaped from the encirclement of Long Xianxing and the others. Other than Nine Dark King, he was the only one who could control the death attribute. After arranging the tasks of the 3 Netherworld kings, the 9th King reorganized the army. At the same time, he sent people back to the Netherworld realm to gather array masters and arrange for people to look for array books. Night Sorrow was on the 70th floor of the Time-Space Treasure Pagoda. He used the energy of the Myriad Dao Tome to suppress it and used the Void Genuine Qi to refine it. He refined the energy that Nine Dark King had injected into his body and expelled it out of his body. Seeing the black smoke and flames constantly emitting from Night Sorrow's body, Xuexi was very shocked. She understood that this was because Night Sorrow had cultivated his body to a higher realm. If it was someone else, this would have been fatal. Night Sorrow spent an entire month recuperating. It took Night Sorrow an entire month to refine the energy that Nine Dark King had left in his body. When Yi Shan felt that his body was fine, he began to cultivate with Xuexi. Xuexi helped him nourish his body and energy. "You're really fine. You scared me to death," Xuexi, who helped Night Sorrow nourish his body, said. "This month can't be considered as a total loss. My genuine qi and the energy of the Myriad Dao Tome have become much more solid. I'll just treat it as a consolidation of my cultivation," Night Sorrow said. "Don't be rash in the future. If something happens to you, many people will be worried and afraid," Xuexi said to Night Sorrow. "I was too nervous at that time and forgot to use the power of rules and the protective barrier to protect my body. I won't do it again," Night Sorrow said. "As the level of the opponent increases, you will also have to adapt to the battle with high-level cultivators. The power of rules fuses with energy attacks. Without the power of rules to protect your body, you won't be able to withstand it. Therefore, in the future, you must always use the power of rules to protect your body," Xuexi reminded Night Sorrow. "I know. Now, there is a very important problem. My genuine qi entered the sage realm with the power of nothingness. However, if I use the power of nothingness to enter the 7th level with my body refining cultivation, it will be equivalent to reducing my future development space," Night Sorrow said. "That is indeed the case. However, you can comprehend the power of nothingness because you have the heavenly fate pearl. It will be very difficult for you to comprehend the power of desolation, which is the law of time. Let alone the heavenly fate pearl, you won't even be able to get an origin stone," Xuexi said after hearing Night Sorrow's words. "Even so, I can't destroy my own path just because I am anxious. I also need to think about this matter," Night Sorrow said. This matter was a very difficult choice for Night Sorrow. Entering the Golden Body realm with the Myriad Dao treasured scripture was a leap in strength. However, if he used the power of nothingness to advance, the power of desolation would not be able to increase. It would also be a problem if he suppressed it and did not advance. This matter also directly affected the cultivation of Night Sorrow's soul avatar in the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Seeing that Night Sorrow's soul avatar was irritated, the 9 regions origin energy appeared. "Is there a problem?" "There is a problem with my original body's cultivation. This also affects the achievement of my avatar. You are the 9 regions origin energy. I would like to ask, where can I come into contact with the law of the power of desolation?" The green-robed Night Sorrow looked at the 9 regions origin energy and asked. "If it was any other origin law, my original body could solve it at any time. However, after countless years of evolution, my original body condensed a high-level elemental origin, which is Dongshuan's life origin. The main reason is that my original body's evolution direction is the world of life. I can't use other high-level origins. However, the Desolate Sea is still the place where the law of time is displayed." The 9 regions origin energy shot a beam of energy into the green-robed Night Sorrow's body. "This is a map?" The green-robed Night Sorrow looked at the 9 regions origin energy and asked in surprise. "That's right. That is the place where the law of desolation is the most concentrated. As for whether you can comprehend it or not, it depends on you. I can't help you. The 9 regions origin energy left after saying that. You can read the rest of the chapter by searching for a basket of erotic books. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.